All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics of Local America's number
Number
one
one.
political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics or Local. So tonight, of course, y'all know it is the third Friday, so y'all know it's time for the Mayor's Forum. So up first is going to be, of course, our brother, the beloved mayor of our city, Newark, New Jersey, Raz J. Baraka. So we're going to get into a couple of things, within the time frame that we have him once he jumps on. Um, we'll try to do that, and then of course we've got a number of other people that are going to come on and going to follow up with some of the conversation we're going to have with the mayor. So, Zaid, you want to give that rundown?
Oh yes, it's going to be loaded. Deputy mayor, and I'm not going to get into my personal connection to the deputy mayor. Y'all know it. Deputy Mayor Keesha Eure is going to join us after the mayor and talk about the incredible work that they have done over the summer. It was not a perfect summer, but it was a good one.
Right.
And the work and the impact of community-based violence intervention continues to drive the violence down. Then right after that, we've got a conversation around Black August. We ain't through with Black August. I
Right.
got two scholars who understand in their lives what theory and practice means, but this is the anniversary of the assassination of George Jackson, one of the cornerstones of Black August. And it's also the anniversary of Nat Turner. Newark
Right.
is the only city in the country to have a Nat Turner Park, right? So Melina Abdullah, Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and
Oh
professor
yeah.
at Cal State University, and Akanyele Umoja, better known as Baba AK, like AK-47, right? Who's the author of the legendary "We Will Shoot Back" on our armed tradition of resistance militarily in Mississippi, will join us for that conversation. 7:30, we got the conversation that we were supposed to have last week.
Okay.
Obi Egbuna and Russell Shoatz Jr. have co-produced an incredible Pan-African lyrical feast that's dedicated to our fallen warrior woman, Assata Shakur, and Pauline Lumumba, the widow of Patrice Lumumba,
Yep.
called the Pauline Lumumba Kilongo Project, Bolongo Project. I'm pronouncing it wrong. I apologize. And they will be joined by another warrior scholar, Professor Tony Menelik Van Der Meer, who's just on the wings of a recent trip to Cuba. So, in honor of Fidel's centennial and on the matter of uncompromising principle solidarity with Cuba, we'll have that discussion. And then after that, Newark's African Commission visits us for the first time. And the African Commission is holding a special event on the 27th at City Hall that they're going to lift up. Right? So we have, Newark is very unique in its uh, direct concern for being fully engaged with the Pan African and the Latin American diaspora that makes up the international character of this city. Looking forward to that. And of course, Hakim Green will close us out as we get ready for 24 hours of peace and things important in the land of hip hop.
Yep. 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 The big show. Yeah.
Yes, sir. They
All
say in
right.
Chicago, let's ride.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get ready to do it. Hey, peace, man. Welcome to the show, our beloved brother, Mayor Raz J. Baraka from our city, the great city of Newark in New Jersey. Peace, man. What's up, brother?
Peace. How you guys doing, man?
Good, good, man. Missed you, brother. I haven't seen you that much during the summer, but we see you in the street, man. You know.
Yeah, yeah. Been
So
moving around.
yeah. So listen, man. We got 30 minutes. There's some stuff I want to talk about, but I'm gonna give you first dibs on, what you might want to talk about, man, because I want to get at a couple of things with you, man. But I'm gonna let
No,
you.
go, you,
There's
you,
something.
you, you could go ahead, brother. Now you got me curious.
Nah. So listen, man. I want to get at the report, right? you know, and I'm talking about the violent crimes keep falling, and some of the biggest cities in the country. I want to get at that, but more importantly, you know, I want to talk to you not I want to talk to you as brother Raz, right? I don't want to talk about you as an elected official as that because I know the work, right? And I know I know the family, I'm a lot of those marches. I know that Baba Baraka was there. I know that Mama Amina was there. I know a lot of that over that 30-year period. That for people who might think that this was overnight, I want you to talk about you know, like, because people might, I saw at the bottom of the thing, the report said Trump was taking credit, and they were trying to say that it was police and him sending the troops into the,
Yeah.
of course we know none of that's true, but
Right.
you talk about what kind of work that took as a brother, and particularly a young man like yourself coming back to the city and all of the murders and all of that stuff that was happening, man. Talk about the work that took, my brother, to get to where we are, man.
Yeah, that's a good point. But you know what the real issue is that you haven't heard a peep about this around here if we haven't put it out. Like
Mm,
not NJ.com, not News 12, not New Jersey Spotlight, not RLS, not Ironbound News. None of these people put out anything because they are bent on this narrative of our city as a struggling black that's swallowed this alive, the leader, term, and they perpetuate this kind of idea over and over and over again. Is either they don't like the city of Newark, or they don't like the administration in the city of Newark. It's so clear to me uh, because this story is huge. It's not a small story.
right.
This is huge. This is a huge story. Out of 66 major cities in America, Newark from 2025 to 2026 had the largest drop in homicide than anybody, including Baltimore, New York, anybody, Chicago, anybody, right? And so you don't hear this story. You don't hear them talking about it. It's not, we had one social media person put it up, the Layla and Stitch young lady who did I think was an incredible, you know, story on her page, an influencer. Nobody else did that. And if they would have, they would be able to dig into what you're saying, uh, the longevity of this and how it began. It had nothing to do with the National Guard or the state police or any of these folks who are now running around taking credit for all of these things that are happening around the country. By the way, not just Newark, happening everywhere. Uh, that is because everybody is talking to one another, right? And everybody is bouncing ideas off each other, in each cities, taking the things that work, really committed to reducing violence and crime. Look, when we were in the Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, shutting down the streets, I remember I had a conversation with Dr. Johnson about violence as public health. That's the first time I ever heard that phraseology, violence as a public health issue. I heard it from Dr. Johnson, from a medical doctor, by the way, who was saying that, who was trying to tell me that the Scared Straight programs and all of those programs were not, in fact, because he was making an analogy saying if you had a cold, brother, and you left your house and we treated your cold and we cured you, whatever you had, if you go back into the house and the people in the house have the cold or the flu, you're going to catch it again, right? And we'll be steadily trying to treat you, and you keep going back and you catching it over and over again without treating the household or the family or the overall picture. This thing is just going to keep going on and on and on, like cyclical. You might help one or two people, but it's always going to come back, which made a lot of sense to me about how to now we need to begin to treat not just individuals, but places and neighborhoods and families, and begin to treat them with, the way we deal with public health. through intervention, right, through education, through treatment. That those are the three strategies we use to get rid of polio, the measles, the mumps, COVID, all that stuff. So you use intervention and strategies, you use educational opportunity, and you treat people who are in fact sick. And that's what we have to do. And you treat people, and you treat neighborhoods, and you treat families. That's why we came up with the hot spots. We came up with all the other kind of things that we put together that treated entire neighborhoods. And we know neighborhoods that need to be treated, even without the help of Rutgers, who gave us the data, because these neighborhoods been terrible for decades. Like, oh, we gotta be careful walking down this street or in this block because it gets rough around there. Right? We know this. The police know that. Families know that. Kids know that. And the question becomes, if everybody knows that, then why didn't we come together to do anything about it? And I think that this change in mindset and view was the beginning of how we began together what we call coordinated intervention strategies to begin to target communities, and target, neighborhoods. And look, we're not at zero, but I think we can get there. And we're not perfect, but we're a lot better than we were. And I think that, like any science and medicine, we're still trying to perfect what it is that we're doing. And I'm gonna tell you this, that everybody who has come here and have adopted what we've done and used it in their own way, put a new face on it, a new cover on it, begin to use it the way they need to use it, have seen not just a reduction in violence, but huge reductions in violence in their community. Right. So you're talking about places like Baltimore, like Birmingham, like Chicago. Right? All these people have been here and us here. Right? And because there's something to what we're saying is based in science. The Safer Newark Council told us before, now it's called the Newark Public Safety Collaborative, that 80% of the areas in the city don't even experience real violent crime.
Right.
That 20% of the city experiences it, but the problem is that 20% of the city experiences almost 100% of the violence. So they feel like they are being this stuff is heaped upon them. Right. And the rest of the city feels the city is violent because of the news. It's just like the story that's out now. Like even like the my brother's keeper is doing the surveys. They did. Young people see the data, they show them what's going on. They say, we don't believe it. Like the real data, they just don't believe the data is true. Why? But if you're on the internet going back with God's space.
Hey, Mayor, we need you to do something. I need you to go out and come back in, because what you're saying is extremely important. And Baruta Kifele just said you're going in and out. So go out and come back in, because we don't want to miss your sound. Man. And we'll pick up on that data research. Zaid, I mean, I remember, man, when it was over 100 murders in the city of Newark, right?
More like 125 a year.
Yeah. And I remember, man, what it felt like in the city, that no one really felt safe, coming in the city, and it was just terrible press. But I think what's absolutely insane is that the mayor to say that no one is reporting on this. You know what I mean?
Because, this is Jersey, and Jersey's in America, right? Yeah. Jersey is still one of our most racist states. And America is as racist as hell right now. And they need to hold on to those old stigmas that makes them comfortably apart from our community, right? And underneath all that is an assumption that if they are not in control of it, it can't be up to standard.
That's right.
This is a big, bold, fat, ugly, racist lie. And
that's right.
Yeah, so go ahead, man. You was giving the stats and so forth, but Zaid is correct, I guess. But you said that before. You said that a long time ago, man. I guess if they can't take credit for it, there's no way in hell that a little black boy from Newark could actually come and reduce, 120 murders murders from down 100 in the city. There's no way you could do that. You know.
Right. And it's really like science and mathematics, brother, and the fact that we are committed to this and we're serious about it. So you try what you need to try. And we built the ecosystem here, and everybody that comes to the city has benefited from it all over the country. In fact, all of the cities that are in, the top 10, 15 of those cities, the majority of those cities have had interaction with us in Newark, and we've been out there. That's just a fact, right? I mean, that's just like, that's not like something we made up. But what I'm saying is that the young people, after my brother's keeper did the survey, the young people don't believe. They say, "Oh, we don't believe the data. We don't believe those facts," because if they going back and forth on the internet with their friends,
right?
They live in that space on the internet, right. And they listening to RLS and all of these influencer people and these folks that are out here, and News 12 that only shows up when somebody's dead on the street, right? Of course, they're going to believe, just like the Rutgers said that 80% of the city don't experience violent crime, though they feel unsafe, right? And that's the same. Like, these young people feel unsafe because they're in the midst of it, they're in the middle of it, and they need direction from adults to get on and push back against all this stuff that's being perpetuated to them, particularly misinformation and malinformation on social media, and try to get them more involved in the process. Like, we need more youth violence intervention, high-risk interventionist groups. Like, if we had a high intervention group that was led by young people, for example, that they were directly in the work, they could see that they come to the meetings, that they're part of what's going on, then I think it would be easier for them to grasp what exactly is taking place. Because right now, there's just something they see in a newspaper or something they see from us, well, not in the newspaper, from us, putting it out there. So it's difficult for them to believe it. And we have to make it real, speak to it in a language that people understand. You gotta understand, there are people who don't benefit, who we are destroying their aspirations, their benefit, their advancement by reducing violence and crime in our city. We making it more difficult for them to have control over our lives.
Yeah.
And so they have an expressed interest in making sure that our community is in chaos.
Yep.
And those who benefit from it being in chaos, so they could tell the story of chaos to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. But again, like Zaid was saying, that is why, man, that it is so for them to have at the end of that story that somehow this is because of Donald Trump sending troops into our community, and we know that this has been an ongoing process. This has been work that has been going on ever since you were a student at Howard University, coming back and forth into the city, and then starting these organizations. Let's talk a little bit about that, man. These organizations and the work that you've assigned all of these people to do in the city that play an important part in it.
Well, like right now, we were at a meeting the other day, and you had a room packed full of multiple organizations and multiple people. One organization begets another one, and we have a huge ecosystem in this city. And I told them, like, there is no room in this city that looks like this. The only room that is probably as robust and is growing is the room that is organizing itself around food insecurity now, and building that up, which I think the outcomes of that they're going to be awesome, just like the violence intervention stuff. The minute we decide to get together and be together, right, and have a principled discussion and debate with one another and use our resources collectively and our brain power collectively to figure out our own circumstance and situation, using the institutions we've built and the institutions that live in our community, we can get ourselves out of almost any hole that we were thrown in, right? And so when I first came back from college, we just extended what we had at Howard, Black Near Force, here in Newark, and began doing work around that, meeting in my daddy's basement for the most part, organizing food and clothing drives, teaching Black history, running for office, doing all of the things really just to engage politically. And that it just lasted, and from there, all these other things and other people have been around and been growing and been a part of that have grown out of that, right? And continue. The terrible thing is that you see people now who, like I was talking to a brother yesterday, he says that he comes to the meetings, he comes to the different things we have, but it makes him a target when he does that.
Wow.
Yeah, it said it makes him a target, and people treat him like he was like people from the Democratic machine, certain activists, certain elected officials target him and deny him and speak to him different ways simply because he comes and hangs around. This kind of colonized mentality that we have, because most of these people look like us, this colonized mentality that we have is the direct impediment to our ability to move whatever it is we need to move out of our way. That is 100,000% clear to me, more than anything else. But look, this is nothing new. This is something that we wrestling with for a very long time. That plus trying to get the real united front to be a united front. Yes, we still have to have these struggles, and you have to be committed to those struggles. Look, is it frustrating that nobody talks about what happened in Newark? In Newark, yeah, it's frustrating, especially when I leave the city, leave the state. Like people heap praise upon you. I'm like, oh, Newark is leading the way. I mean, the mayors of all of these cities, the people all over the places. But here in Newark itself, you can't even get the local newspaper, the local rag, right, to say one thing about what it is that you've accomplished here in the city.
Right. Well, remember, and I say good riddance to them, when you were coming into office, they decided to leave Newark.
Yeah.
That's how much contempt they have, not just for us in this city, but our legacy of struggle.
Yeah.
On one level, I say good riddance. But right, on another level, there's some noise that needs to be made in journalist space.
That's right.
That kind of racism. And something we need to talk about the education front too, because you also are a lead educator in this town, right? Our chalk beats and those kind of spaces where can't say anything positive at all about what's happening on that's positive on the education front.
Right.
Science High was just blown up.
That's right.
One of the highest ranking schools in the country.
That's right.
And shout out to our own Jonathan Austin, one of our master teachers, who's at Science High, right? But from those, Jersey-based, mainstream-oriented corporate elements, right, stuck on white supremacy and white male privilege, we ain't getting that love, even though the numbers are with us.
That's right. They just not going to do it. I mean, you said it earlier, though. They just don't believe it. But two, at the end of the day, it dispels all their mythology, and that's really at the crux of it, And they have to feel empowered more than us or above us in some way. This kind of paternalism that exists, so they always have to make us look like we are struggling. We barely can, determine where we are and what's going on. That actually everything is in disarray and chaos. And people perpetuate that because once you hear that narrative over and over and over again, it becomes self-fulfilling to you. And our job is to speak louder than them or with more clarity. And so we do need journalists. We do need, digital media. We do need radio shows. We do need podcasts. We need to go do those things that were done before, but in a modern kind of way, because this right here,
out organizing them.
That's right. We're in a time period, man, that is like
Amsterdam News. Our black press that ain't afraid to do that too. I just want to shout them out. Right on.
Yeah, well, without question. I mean, but I remember, man. I used to we talked about this before. I used to wake up. You listen Tony Brown's Journal,
yes,
Like It Is. Yes. I mean, you go on and on and on and on of all of the shows that existed. If you needed some real alternative information, some real news, some historical evidence, some facts, other than the wild stuff that come across social media, you that stuff was helpful. It was helpful to me, helpful to us. And there's some links and pages on social media that try to do that needs to be uplifted as well, because they tell history stories, they tell the news.
Yes.
And I come across them as well. We just have to like perpetuate that. That's all. That's it. But I am a little perturbed by the fact that these folks haven't said anything. But we got to tell our own stories, man. And the reality is, the Cowboys are gonna always win, or the Indians are gonna always lose if the Cowboys keep telling the story.
Yes, sir.
Yep. But again, man, I think that, and this is for the people who were around, right? Because there was a lot of work that was done, to get to this point, and so for people who might think, oh, this was some sort of overnight sensation, like Zahid and I was talking about off the air. I mean, you remember, man, you weren't even elected. And then, of course, when you got on the council, there was over 100 murders almost every year in this city. Yeah. Right? I mean, and I can remember, and I'm sure you can. I can remember at one of the rallies we did in front of City Hall, and somebody was afraid to give the address of somebody who had murdered somebody. I remember you were so upset. You said, well, damn it, give my address.
Right.
I mean, if y'all too afraid, because we need to stop what's going. I mean, it was at that level, right, of activism and concern the city, the kind of work that went into getting this done. But you're right. I mean, if we don't toot our own horns at this point, man, we've got to go beyond, just regular journalism, right? We gotta do it the old-fashioned way. We gotta get some flyers. We gotta put it out. We gotta create a level of harmony in the city so that people know in the city of Newark, listen, we all need to be on the same page. And like Keesha said, I think she said it's probably around 8 murders now. We need to get it down to 0.
Right.
Right. And that is, we can get it down to 0 if we on the same page. And you're right. I mean, other people have come here to the city and they looked at it. But at the end of the day, man, I think that for other people who would look at you, right, and think that at the end of the day that somehow, this is an anomaly. It's not an anomaly, right?
Right.
There was real work involved, man.
Right.
Real work.
And if it's an anomaly, why is it happening all over the country?
Right. Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And underneath that also is this. And this is something that we struggle with, those of us doing this work and who tried to professionalize this work. It's hard, dangerous work, and it's been done with little to no money. Little to no money. In the span of things, large and small, in city and county and federal budgets, what we have done in Newark and other cities, we have not been afforded the resources I would dare say that we have earned to professionalize this work so we can keep these numbers down.
Yep.
That's right.
I mean, without a doubt. Hey, man, listen, man, I just want to say, man, congratulations, because I think that is, from my standpoint, brother, and I told you this, 12 years ago, man, this is why we needed you to be mayor, right? Because we needed somebody who was going to be unapologetic, right, about really knowing what was going on as it related to the people in the street. And that's no different than what you're doing now, man. When you walking all of these directors through the streets, you walking them through a town you know something about.
Right.
Right. And that's respect. Because I'm like, yo, some of these folks, man, who are walking, they probably have never seen them number blocks. They've heard about it, or they drove through them, right? But to be walking through them and seeing the reality of what this city and seeing these people, yo, man, it's going to take real work from people in order to be able to get it done. But remember, at the end of the day, man, you can't save nobody if you don't love the people, bro. You
That's
gotta
it.
love these people, brother.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right. You can't change anything based on your hatred of somebody else.
yeah.
You
You
sure
can't.
can't change something on the outside sitting on the inside.
That's right. That's
You ain't
right.
gonna start from that premise, man. So,
That's right.
but listen, man. I know we out of time. We only had
Yeah.
30 minutes, man. I just want to say, man, love you, man. Thank you, man,
I
for
appreciate you guys, man.
putting your head down, brother.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it,
And
man.
that's real to say. Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Amen. Amen. The only punch to knock you out is the one you don't see.
Yeah. Good half hour. Good half hour.
Uh-oh. There's another worker in the field, right? Yeah. You know, the work is plenty.
You can't make peace on the outside sitting on the inside. Can't do it.
What's good, Keesh?
Can't do it. I ain't gonna bash you tonight, sweetheart. Just come on in and drop it on us.
It's okay. Thank you for having me on All Politics is Local. Always a pleasure to be here.
Yep. Hey, Keesh, I guess, and this is what I was saying when the mayor came on. We want to continue this conversation because you know what this work was like over this 30-year period, right?
Right.
You know, and particularly since the whole time the mayor's been the mayor, and what it was like before he became the mayor. And I'm using the word work lightly, right?
Right.
But you know that it required real work in order to get this stuff done. You know?
Right.
And but again, you know, we've got to be mindful of the very people who aren't really shining a light on the city in the kind of way that it should be, because we're leading the way, right? With how you not only do you release violence, but you release you what you do is you take the numbers down of murder. Because I remember the mayor saying years ago, he said what was primarily happening in the city, and you know this from a clinical perspective, a lot of it had to do with domestic violence.
Right.
Right? But we didn't have the kind of people in place like yourself, like your team, in order to be able to deal with it. Talk about that a little bit, Keisha, if you will.
Yeah, so we ultimately are, you know, like you just said, the media and people are not going to talk about it. So we got to talk about it ourselves. That's our responsibility. And the mayor had a meeting this week with all of the community-based organizations, and he said, y'all have to tell your stories. Y'all have to tell the victories, because other people are not. Y'all can't be ashamed. And so when our young people and people say that they don't feel safe in the city, it's because all of the media is saying every time we have a homicide or a shooting or a stabbing or a carjack or something, then they show it on the news 10, 15, 20 times. But do you do that when you save a life? Do you do that when you intervene? Do you do that when you have your successes? Do you do that when you're employing 150 young people, 2,000, 3,000 young people? Like, do we talk about the stories? And we don't. And so ultimately, yes, we have been doing this work, or we've been on the ground for over 10 years. And so this is not us helicoptering into this. This is taking time. This is taking organizing. This is taking strategy. This is taking brain power.
Wait, Keith, say that one more time. How many years?
Over 10 years. The mayor's been in office now, 12 years?
12.
Right? And so it's been before that, before he became the mayor. So it's been over 12 years, right? It's been over, we going back 2008 and probably even back. I remember the Stop Self-Genocide campaign when we had SOS and Street Warriors and Stop Shooting organization. And, you know, so we had folks that was on the ground. We didn't know, what it was. We just knew that we had the love of the people and we wanted to stop the violence in our community.
There it is, right there, Keith, what you just said. And the mayor concluded with that, loving the people, right? The love of the people. There you go.
Right. And so many of us were out there.
And Keith, remember, nobody had more greater love than our beloved elder brother who went home to be with the Lord, the street doctor. Remember,
absolutely. The street doctor. And even I remember our, love, Amiri Baraka being out there walking with us and marching with us, and having to figure out what side he gonna be on, if we gonna take the streets, if we gonna shut it down, or if we gonna march, right? So
that man went into the hospital 5 minutes away from the land of their ancestors with flyers,
campaigning for his son to become the mayor.
That's right.
Because we understand legacy and what legacy means. And we understand why we do this work. And so when I travel to other cities, other states. I was in Cleveland and Pittsburgh and Chicago and LA and all of the cities. And they say, well, how are y'all able to do it? People want to know how, right? And the how is that we invested in community-based organizations, that leadership matters. So the mayor said, we need to work together. We need to collaborate. We need to partner. And so in collaborating and partnership, it ultimately meant that everybody has a lane. And when you stay in your lane and you're doing your lane work, then we can get something done faster. So we have people who are doing youth mentoring work, safe passage work, therapeutic and clinical services, victim services, domestic violence, high-risk intervention work, all the things. So we have about 7 different lanes that we put people in, and there's enough space for everybody to be able to do the work, and for everybody to collaborate and everybody to partner, and doing work from a place that is data informed. Before we didn't have the data, before we didn't have the information, and now we have access to. We got access, right?
Last study was done from law enforcement circles.
Correct.
They can't say that we lying about the figures or we making stuff up.
Right. And law enforcement had all of the data. They had all of the access. They had all of the authority and all of the power. But we ultimately know that law enforcement comes after things happen. Right. Their job is to enforce the law. The community's job is to be there before things happen, when things are happening, after things are happening. And we are the people who police our own communities, who police our own youth, our own children, our own families. So when we, took to the streets and we had Newark Anti-Violence Coalition, and we were, working to bring this thing together, we had demands. So we wasn't just out there screaming and yelling about nothing. Yeah. We had demands about wanting an active voice in police, in public safety, wanting to know and be able to choose who our public safety person is. We wanted employment for Newarkers. We wanted the Amistad taught in the schools. We wanted the Bloods and the Crips to put their guns down. We wanted violence declared a public health issue. And so these were clear demands that we had, and we were able to get them met. And so it takes organizing. It takes people who have skills, who have relationships, who has the know-how. And it took us 155 weeks, rain, sleet, snow. And I'm going to bargain to say it was even more than that. That's just what we counted. But it took people who were committed, the sacrifice. People went to jail. People went to jail for this work and were arrested because people didn't believe in the way that we were organizing. They didn't agree with the organizing strategy.
Tell it. Yep.
And didn't have one.
People literally got locked up. That's right.
People literally got locked up and went to jail. And so we understood when we saw the Brick City documentary, what was happening in terms of seeing police and community face-to-face clashing. And so this took over 12, 14, 15 years for us to get here. And so again, when people say, oh, they're lying, I saw the comments, oh, they're lying, they're not counting the numbers, it's not safer, this is crazy. I was there when we had over 110 homicides because I was responding to the homicides, the Donna Jacksons, like you said, the street doctors, the Cassandras, all of us, we was out there running to the hospital, going to the crime scenes, we were being first responders and firefighters, and we didn't even know that's what we were doing.
That's right.
Right? We was putting out fires. We was trying to stop retaliations. Right. We was working with SOS in the gang community. Right? We had a strategy. We just didn't have it formalized. We didn't have the infrastructure. We didn't professionalize it. But over the years, we've been able to do that. And when the mayor came in, he ultimately had a strategy to be able to say, we need to professionalize this.
That's right.
We're going to have a public safety strategy, but not just with law enforcement, but with a community-based side. And so
Community
that's how we've been able to do this. And year over year, you've been able to see numbers go down because law enforcement, government, and community are working side by side to be able to do what each of them have a responsibility to do. And when everybody stays in their lane, we're able to get so much more done. And so I remember 2 years ago, 3 years ago, in the month of May, we had 12 homicides in the month of May.
Yeah.
And the mayor said, we got to do something about this immediately. And so he said, we need a summer strategy. And so he said, we were starting summer programming after the 4th of July. He said, these kids checked out already in May. They not going to school no more in June. Y'all programming in July. Y'all behind the 8 ball. Right? And so he said, we got to start programming in May and in April. And so with us starting earlier, with us going and getting the young people and the people that we know who are committing the crime and violence, having a focused deterrent strategy, we go after the people who we know are doing it. We go and offer them resources. We go and see what it is that they need. And we go and ask them the questions directly. Why are you committing crime? Why are you allegedly shooting people, stabbing people, carjacking? What is it that you need? What is it that we can do to help you? Right. And so we got social workers in all of the police departments. We have outreach workers in all over the city. We have victim advocates. We have people because we understand that these was quality of life issues. It had nothing to do with anything else. Quality of life. Most of the calls that come into 911 are quality of life calls, not real crisis and emergencies. But we understood that community can respond to these incidents. We know how to respond to mental health incidents because some of us have licenses and degrees. We know how to respond to shootings, to de-escalate and mediate. We know how to do domestic violence work. And we ultimately saw when we had 48 homicides a couple years ago, 50% of those homicides was domestic violence related. And we said, oh, we need a new strategy because once again, we are behind the 8 ball. And we saw that domestic violence rose during COVID, but we did nothing about it because all we were so concerned about was our shootings. And so what we understood is that the shootings was coming from domestic violence incidents, not just intimate partner, but incidents that was personal matters. So this was about how do we organize? How do we get the data? How do we strategize? How do we use community? How do we use our natural resources to do what we already know how to do? And so that's how we've been able to do it year over year reductions. And when the mayor started the Office of Violence Prevention and Trauma Recovery, he said, this has to work. There's no other way. There's no backup plan. It has to work. And so we understood that because we were being looked at nationally already because the mayor was reallocating 5% of the police department's budget, that it was already a problem. So it was, this has to work because everybody's watching. And so we were, like the people that other cities were champion to say, let's go Newark, let's go Newark, let's go Newark, right? And so the energy on that was just so much tremendous because it was like, there's no other way. And so we worked hard to be able to be in community, to be able to resolve incidents, to be able to work with the people in the community, to be able to go after the ones that we know were committing the crime and violence, to be able to give them resources, to be able to help them. Like, this is the how we do that. We giving them counseling, therapy, food, clothing, shelter, transportation, like everything we can possibly do so that they can be successful.
That's right.
And so this gives law enforcement less work to do if we're doing all of these things. And so the issue with law enforcement, ultimately in the beginning, when we knew that they didn't necessarily want the Office of Violence Prevention and people didn't understand what we do, people still don't know what we do. But we are transforming lives and changing lives. We show up when nobody else wants to. We're there when nobody else is there. And so that is like ultimately, the strategy in terms of being able to save lives. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Yeah.
See, this is in real time. You see this? This is in real time. She getting the call.
Yeah.
Right? She getting the call and she's taking it. She ain't
Yeah.
saying I'm on the air, please wait or please. She's taking that call, right? That's how we do that.
But
Right?
you
I'm
know
back.
what it is. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes, that is real time. Hello, I need you to turn that down, please. I'm on a call, but beyond that, you are disturbing the peace. You are disturbing the peace, sir. We are on the call.
You should be gone.
But those are relationships. That's what it's about.
Yep.
It's about being able to have relationships in the community to be able to do that kind of work, to be able to get things done, and to be able to intervene in a way that helps our young people, our community, that restores hope and trust back into community, because we know that the trust, was lost, right? To be able to train and have training, to be able to have resources. So ultimately, it was about equity. Law enforcement has a lot of resources, but community side needs some of the resources too. We got to share.
Yes.
We got to share some of these resources. We
have
can't
done
allow
with this much of resources.
that is true. It has to be more equity in it. And so we are working hard to be able to change policies, to be able to change legislation, to be able to change the culture, right? Because this required a culture shift. People didn't understand why we were doing this, what we were doing. And so when they able to call somebody and somebody shows up to be able to do something in real time, then now they understand that this is what we are supposed to be doing. And so to go from 110 homicides in the city of Newark to currently we have 8, right? And 8 is too many, right? And we don't want to glorify the numbers, but I know when we had 110. So I'm arguing with folks right now, like, yeah, you can't tell me, right, that things are not better, right? Because I know where we come from, because I had family and friends who were part of those numbers.
Right. We've
had
all
family and friends that I had to respond to that was shot and killed in the city senselessly. Senseless violence, senseless violence where we have bystanders.
That's right.
And so that's what we're talking about here, but not just crime data. We're talking about trauma and how we're doing healing work, right? And so on the other side of that, we are healing communities, we're healing people, we're giving them resources, we're giving them hope. You got to be able to put something back in. And so that's the goal. The goal is the education, the employment, the mental health, the support. All of the things matter. And so we know that everyone has a lane, and that's not law enforcement's lane. Law enforcement is not trained to do victim services and support services and all of the things. And so last year we had 3,100 referrals from the police into the Office of Violence Prevention.
Wow.
Say that number again.
Wow.
3,100.
Wow.
So 3,000 referrals came from the police to the Office of Violence Prevention, the Brick City Peace Collective, which entails our entire ecosystem of organizations that are doing work every day. And so when they're referring those things to us, and 3,000 people, those are 3,000 lives that we saved. Those are 3,000 less people who are harmed or in jail or dead.
Yeah.
And so it took a long time for them just get to the point where it was all right for them to make those referrals.
Correct. And so that's game changing. That's where the game changer happens, where you can say the police are referring people to resources to get help versus incarcerating them, versus, shooting and killing them, versus all of those things. And so it's not just about law enforcement. This is about all of first responder work, with our EMS working together, our fire department working together, and seeing us as first responders too. And so this is transformative, where we're working with our local partners. We have a state office of violence prevention. We have a city office of violence prevention. We have community-based organizations doing the work every day. Newark Street Academy, Newark Community Street Team, Newark Anti-Violence Coalition. We have Hope, Love, and Kindness, Community Safe Zone. We have so many organizations, and they are now sprouting up, and we are helping them build their capacity. and infrastructure that they never had before, or supporting them in a way that they didn't have support before. So this whole ecosystem that we're building comes from the top down, which is leadership from Mayor Baraka down, and then the bottom up. The bottom has a voice, right? We're no longer under a federal consent decree, right? And we can, have a conversation about if that's bad or good or not around accountability. But we also knew a time where the police were brutalizing people at a rate, that was tremendous.
Killing us and robbing us.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so now to have access, that we can make phone calls now. That's the difference. Not saying this stuff doesn't happen, but we have access to power now. We have access to resources. We have access that we never had before. And so to be able for me as a deputy mayor to come from being community, from a activist, to becoming a director, to becoming a deputy mayor, is tremendous progress, because now I have a different lens, and they consider me to be a systems agent, if you will. But I'm able to get things done between government, community, and law enforcement, which makes so much more of a difference when you can call me and I can make something happen versus not being able to.
Yeah,
so
I think that's what I think all of the sisters in New York, like Tamika and all of them, were hoping that someone would, from your ranks, right, would be able to elevate to the position that you have. Right, and be able to be that link between government and community organizations, right? Because they need to be able to get the funding, right, in order to be able to get the work done. But I think that what's important is, and I don't want you to really just scale over that. And Zaid, you should talk about it a little bit, man. Where Keesha come from, right? She's not an overnight sensation, man. And she's come through the ranks. She's come through these organizations. Like the mayor was talking about Neoforce when he came back from college. Keesha was on the ground involved in organizations too. So it ain't like she all of a sudden just was given a title. No. Keesha was in the struggle. She was out there leading marches. She was down with the people. That's why I was talking about when I say it's about loving people, right? Nobody had titles. They were doing that, and I'm saying they, meaning you and the mayor, y'all were doing that stuff because y'all gave a damn about the people.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
There were no paychecks involved. Because I remember, Keesha, I used to always talk about, I don't think they pay you enough. And he was like, pay me enough, I don't get a check. What are you talking about?
Right. And people used to wonder, like, where do you work? Like, you always out here. Do you work anywhere? Right. And so during that time, I was like sneaking out of work. I was working for Rutgers. And I was sneaking out of work to go do the work of the city that I didn't work for at the time. And then I said, Mayor, I can't keep sneaking out of work. You got to make a position for me or something. And so then I began working. I started out with the city of Newark working at the health department as a social worker in the health department and building the violence prevention work for the city as violence being a public health issue. Right. And so, that's where, the groundwork.
And Keith, that's what he just talked about. Violence being a public health emergency.
Yes.
Because he talked about it before you came on when he first heard that term,
Right.
And this is real talk, as it relates to, you haven't been able to elevate because all of the sisters you run with, right? And how hard they all have worked. And I've got to say, I'm just glad you from the city of Newark, right? So, and we could say, we've got, a young sister mayor, but clearly, Keesha, you don't look like what you've been through. Praise God.
Absolutely, and I certainly appreciate that, and that comes from having support. That comes from having knowledge of self. That comes from having and knowing, that the ancestors and understanding the mission, right? I understand the assignment. I'm on assignment. I understand the assignment. And when you understand the assignment, then, you don't look like it, what you've been through. But the assignment is to save these lives, that we can't continue to have people dying in the streets senselessly, that we got to hold government accountable and making sure that the resources hit the ground and go to where they're supposed to go. that we're making sure that law enforcement is doing the job that law enforcement is supposed to do, and what community is supposed to do. So it's at that level that there's accountability, and to be able to have the relationships to be able to forge that. And so seeing other people in cities, I see my good sister, Dr. Lisa from Patterson Healing Collective is on somewhere, and she's doing great work in Patterson, and she's been, fighting to do the work over there and be everything, right? And then we had Jersey City, the Jersey City Anti-Violence Coalition movement, and then we had
the Trenton Restorative Street Team, trying to figure that out.
Trenton Restorative Street Team, Trenton Community Street Team, so Atlantic City. So throughout the state, people are working and trying to do this work. And all of the dynamics are different. The politics are different. And when we talk about all politics are local, we really mean that all politics are local. If you are not into politics in your local areas, anything else is going to be hard for you to understand. And so we're really trying to politicize folks and letting them understand that your politics matters, because that's where you get your resources from ultimately. And if you don't know how to access resources and don't have the relationships, you're going to have a tough time. And so to see, again, us have a federal and a national office of violence prevention, and for that to go away overnight, and for the funding to be cut overnight, was detrimental to a lot of cities and to a lot of people who were dependent on federal funding. And so the federal funding, played a major part in people being able to, the workforce. This workforce is people who have backgrounds, right? People who are just as impacted, right? And so all of those things is a cyclical effect when we allow resources to be cut, when we don't advocate, and when we don't understand what's happening. And so I would say for us now to be number one, right, out of 66 other cities, major cities in the country, to have the most, reduction in homicides. And I tell people it's hard work. Every day you get phone calls. Every day the community needs you. Every day there's shooting, stabbings, robberies, carjackings. Every day. And every day the mayor is yelling, what are y'all going to do? We got to do more. We got to do more. We got to do more. And I'm like, Mayor, we don't have no more. And he's like, yes, we do. Right? Yes, we do. And so he's constantly pushing. He's constantly being on the crucifixion, right? He's constantly being crucified. And when you work for government and being a public servant, then a lot of times we are doing the impossible work, right? For some people who are ungrateful. But we still have to do the work no matter what, for those who are grateful and those who are not, to make our cities better. And so we know we have issues around homelessness. We have issues around drug overdoses that need some attention. We have issues around this high rent and housing, healthcare, right? So all of the issues. And so we are trying the best that we can with what we have to be able to help the residents in the city of Newark, but beyond Newark, because people are watching, that we are looking to be able to help other cities be innovative and creative, because people always say, well, what are y'all doing and how are y'all doing it? And the mayor allows us to be creative and figure it out. And so I think that that's one of the things that I'm proud of, is that we were able to, do some things that other cities were not able to do. But, we had to bump our heads a little bit, and we learned some lessons and what we could do, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. But ultimately, the assignment is to transform the city, to decrease crime and violence, to put more resources into the hands of the people, to be able to help our youth and young people, our girls. We had a program last night, Save Our Girls. We talked about human trafficking and sexual abuse and domestic violence. And so we have our Peace Week next week. Every day we have something going on. We have a bike ride. On Wednesday, we're doing something for our senior citizens, I believe on Monday. We have of course, on Friday and Saturday, we have 24 hours apiece. But every day we have something going on for us to incorporate something around peace. And for those folks who believe that it's a waste of money and it's a waste of resources, it's not. We are bringing people together. We engaging people from across different places to bring them together, to be able to bring messages of hope, to be able to have youth in our entertainment. We have old school on Friday night. We're going to have MC Light and Run DMC and X Clan, right? And so it's old school music that brings messages, right? Old school music always had messages in them. And ultimately, our young people, they get to have their day. And sometimes we don't always understand their music. But again, it's to bring messages. And in between the music, we allowing people to talk about the resources that they have. We're talking about, peace. I'm sorry?
And that they need.
Messages that they need, resources that they need. We're going to have different vendors, there. We're going to have different people coming into the city. This week, I'm hosting 4 or 5 cities coming in: Houston, Texas, Portsmouth, Virginia, Atlantic City, New York City, and I'm missing one, Houston, and Philadelphia.
Have you had any contact from Tulsa?
I'm sorry?
Have you had any contact from Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I haven't had anything from Tulsa, but I got about 4 or 5 cities coming in this week that we're going to take them to different places and show them the work that we're doing. And we're going to allow them to experience the city of Newark. Newark is an experience, and we are leading the way, and we get to say that and not be ashamed of that. Newark and proud of it, and we are leading the way. And so sometimes it's our own people who don't necessarily see it or believe it, but we just got to do a better job at messaging, a better job at getting the information out, a better job at showing it. And so I'm venturing to say that I am Newark and proud of it.
Well, Keish, I know you don't need me and Zaid to tell you how proud we are of you. So we just gonna tell you we love you, and I think that goes, and ain't nothing you can do about that, because we love you to the moon and back. So, but what an awesome job. These numbers are impressive. And all I can say is, of course, just keep on keeping on. And as Zaid said, whatever we need to do here to make sure that this story don't go untold, we're going to do it on All Politics and Local. I don't give a damn what people got to say. We're going to shout it, and we're going to keep talking about it. So we want to thank you for coming through. But tell us what you're listening to, Keish.
Man, I'm booked and busy, so I don't know what I'm listening to these days. I've been traveling a lot. I don't really know what's on the radio. I don't know anything. Probably just gospel music, just trying to keep my little spirit together. Okay. But before I go, I do want to, send some condolences and send some prayers out to the families who have lost people to gun violence and to domestic violence and all types of violence. Over this past weekend, we had, I believe, 2 homicides, and we had a suicide. Like, we had different things happening in this past week alone. So I don't want families and people to believe that we are celebrating, their losses. But we are certainly, sending love, condolences to the families, to the 17-year-old who lost her life, who was hit by the car. So we've had several losses, in the past week or two. And I want to just send love, condolences, and prayers to all of those families.
Yeah, and we echo the same. With regards to sending our condolences to those families, because those people are from our city, and we all share in that loss. So again, Keish, thanks a lot. We appreciate you coming through. And you got any parting words, Brother Zaid, you want to give to this our sister soldier?
You know what this one means to me. I probably shouldn't do it, because then folks will say I'm being biased. Like I give a damn.
Okay, thank you so much for always having me. All Politics are Local, and thank you for always bringing Newark to the forefront and talking about the great things that we do and how we can change and always do better politics.
Yes, ma'am. Love
you. Love you more.
All right. All right, Zaid, I think we got some of your people in the background.
This is Black August. It's time to take out the guns now. Yeah. Peace in one hand and war in the other, because, this is what we got to do. Right? Today is the anniversary of the assassination of George Jackson, one of the Black August cornerstone historical moments. And ironically, that took place on the anniversary of the launch of the epic Nat Turner uprising in
Hey,
18.
Zaid, I just want to say we need these people to come on camera. If not, I'm gonna have to remove them off the screen because we're not gonna just keep people
Can,
pictures.
can, can y'all come on camera? They might not. Melina might be traveling because
Okay.
she's between Texas and LA around Carmelo Anthony's situation, right?
I don't
Can
know
y'all hear
how.
us?
I keep on pressing Command E and it's not changing.
I can come off camera, but I look terrible. I was trying to be
You,
off
you,
camera.
you don't know
I
how
was
to look.
not.
You don't know how
I've
to
never be on
stop.
camera for this. So. No, wait, hold on. Let me just cover my
No,
head.
it is just one of our policies. I mean, if we make the mayor not being, go off camera, we always, no matter where he's at, it's our policy. We make our
Yeah.
mayor on camera.
I shouldn't have come off camera. So I'm not usually uncovered on Juma. So give me a minute.
Yeah, no, take your time.
Yeah.
What we go?
Or I can do it another time.
No. Take a minute. Do what you got to do to be comfortable, and we're gonna let Baba AK ground the conversation. He's the elder out of the two of you in the conversation. Ground us in what Black August means, and particularly the legacy of George Jackson. What does that mean for us at this historical moment? What does it mean to be clear about the dance that brings theory and practice together, and what we're doing? And then we'll come to you when you get yourself together.
And I'm trying to press. It says press Command E. I'm pressing it, but nothing's happening for me. I think Melina got me like this last time too. Y'all done changed up this StreamYard.
Yeah, I mean, y'all my LA warriors. I don't know what's up.
The camera is just a camera button, my brother, down at the bottom that just
Okay,
has
I'm pressing it.
all you
It
gotta
says
do
press Command E.
yeah.
You should be for StreamYard. You should be able to just scroll down and just come on.
That's what it's historically been, but I don't know.
Yeah,
Click the camera icon on the left, and
like you see I can go on camera, come off.
let's see. On the left, I'm looking.
And he took himself out. I just want to lift up two things that Baba AK has given us in just the last few years. He's given us two books. One, We Will Shoot Back, and that book is, making the kind of waves that it ought to make. And we're lifting that up because one of the tenets of Black August is study, train, fast, fight, right? And he's given us some important tools of study. We Will Shoot Back is a history of armed resistance stories that have emerged in Mississippi, one of the bloodiest racist states in the history of this country. And we were taught that blood spilling was one way. Well, it ain't necessarily true, right? He has shown us that blood wasn't one way, right? And then he's also the co-editor of the papers of Robert and Mabel Williams. So he's given us some tools of study that are right for this time that we call Black August. Now, I was just giving some of your weapons that you were giving us, AK, where you were trying to deal with that tech matter. Welcome back to another Free Land.
Appreciate it. Free the land.
Free the land.
Build the win. And Black August resistance.
Yes, sir. Now, in the few minutes we got left, we're continuing this conversation. We've had Black August, conversations from folks all over the country, right? But you and Melina are warrior scholars who both represent not just in your writings but in your practice that dance of coming together that is theory and practice. And so I was just glad to have not just both of you on, but the both of you on together is a huge moment for us, and a huge Black August moment for all of us who observe Black August. Baba AK, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Coming straight out of, and both of y'all coming out of Cali too. Black August
Yeah.
has its roots in the California prison system,
But I
right?
am straight out of Compton.
Right. Now, tell, right,
she
you got.
she's
I
straight
want you.
out of Oakland,
Yes, sir. You got to ground us
uh,
why Black August and Field Marshal George and
that's
that
right.
legacy is important and why we must embrace it and bring together theory and practice.
Man, I think when we talk about the resistance of our people, Black Argus is certainly a high period of our resistance and a important chapter. We're talking about men who were held captive in the California prison system during the late 1960s and facing like not only racist guards, facing um, white racists, being pitted against Latinx folks. So they organized themselves to protect themselves from any external enemies, and they also brought about a level of unity. And so there were three classic events. I remember one when I think I was in the going to the 11th grade, and this brother Jonathan Jackson, who was like a year older than me, his brother George Jackson, who you mentioned, was one of the premier uh, leaders of our people on the inside. In fact, he was a field marshal for the Black Panther Party while he was
Yes, sir.
incarcerated,
Yes,
meaning
sir.
he's a military leader and
That's right.
commander of the Black Panther Party. And so his brother was held as a political prisoner. He didn't come into the prison because of political reasons, but because of his activism, his consciousness, and his ability to influence others and educate others. He'd been made a target, and him and two other brothers were charged with the killing of a prison guard in Soledad Prison. They were called the Soledad Brothers. And so Jonathan Jackson, a teenager, in a bold move, attempted to raided a trial of other black prisoners, armed those prisoners, and they took the judge, the stenographer, and the
An
prosecutor.
extraction mission. That's what we call that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And we've had
Yeah,
some
so
successful extraction missions. Assata didn't get the Cuba out of
right.
the sky. We had some
That's right.
successful extraction missions in our
As we say, she didn't escape; she was liberated.
Yes, sir.
And so, in that particular in this case, he wanted to negotiate the release of his brothers and the two other Soledad brothers, and ended up the California prison authorities weren't trying to negotiate. Gun battle ensued, and Jonathan and a couple of other brothers were killed. The stenographer, the judge, I think the prosecutor lived and was had serious bodily harm done to him. Melina probably could inform us better on that, since she's refreshed with Black August, being at home in the birthplace of Black August in California. And so that happened in August 7th, 1970. Then George was assassinated August 21st, 1971. And then years later, another brother who was organizing, Qatari Gaudin, was harmed during a athletic event and wasn't given proper medical treatment. And so from that,
He died on August 1st in 78.
78, thank you for that. I had a little senior moment. But but then the men inside of California prison system, particularly in San Quentin, but also in Soledad and other prisons. During this time, it was close to Ramadan. They decided to do daylight fasts. They decided to use it as a time for intense study of revolutionary history, revolutionary ideology. They saw it as a time to physically train and to fast. And so that is what birthed Black August, and during the month of August, since all these events occurred during the month of August. Let me see, Melina's on, so let me
You okay
Pastor
now?
Mike.
You okay now, beloved?
I'm as okay as I'm gonna be.
That's all right. That's all right.
And that's great.
Right now, Melina is in the field, right?
Mm-hmm.
She did
As usual.
She's been making some moves this week, right?
As usual. I was telling my wife that earlier. Melina out there.
So in the name of theory and practice,
a place she's on the front line.
Yes, right. You just got finished. Are you still in Texas?
No, I just got back this morning.
Well,
yeah.
But tell us about your sojourn in Texas. It wasn't no damn vacation. Right?
No. So I actually, I was in 2 places in Texas. And salam alaikum, great to be with you. Right. Good to see you, Baba AK.
Great to see you always, Melina.
Yeah. So I was in 2 places in Texas. First, I was in Lubbock, Texas on August 19th, which, as we're thinking about the significance of dates, it's not beyond me that August 19th should have been the 19th birthday of Nolan Wells. It also should have been the 22nd birthday of Erskine Jenkins, who was Nolan Wells before we knew Nolan Wells. So 2 years ago, Erskine Jenkins, a student at Texas Tech, was at a Friendsgiving filled with no Black people and force-fed alcohol, and somehow Lubbock County sheriffs came out and shot Erskine dead through the window. And so on August 19th, I was in Lubbock with Erskine's family and some of our movement family to uplift Erskine Jenkins. We also are calling for a boycott of Doc's liquor stores, which sold that alcohol to underage folks and then refused to release the footage that they have of what might have happened leading up, because someone other than Erskine used his credit card to purchase the liquor that he was force-fed. So that's August 19th. August 19th, as we know, was also the start of the new hearing for Carmelo Anthony, who, if he hadn't defended himself, we might be hashtagging Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that we're hashtagging instead Free Carmelo, but in the midst of Black August, we absolutely have to do the work to free Carmelo Anthony. So after Lubbock, I went over to Dallas, and I think people who are paying attention might know what's happening with Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old who was viciously attacked by white racists on an opposing track team. He was forced to defend himself. One of those attackers wound up losing their life, and Carmelo Anthony was tried as an adult, prosecuted by a jury with no Black people on it, and then sentenced to 35 years in prison. The prison that he's sentenced to is sitting on the grounds of a former cotton plantation. So I don't think that coincidental. Today is also, so talking about the significance of dates, today is the last flea day of Black August. So as Baba AK lifted up, this is Comrade George's day of sacrifice, the day that he was martyred. But August 21st, and I don't know, Baba AK, I didn't realize it was all of these days until I went to the African American History Museum in DC, and I was like, wait, all this happened on August 21st? The start of the Haitian Revolution was August 21st, 1791.
Actually the 22nd, but we'll take it.
Well, I'm taking the 21st because it makes this fit.
August 21st. I was born on Boy Came On, which is the ceremonial beginning on the 14th.
14th, right. 8
days later, we're going to start taking eds on the 21st.
Depending on what the historians say, but yeah, Boy Came On.
It's 1791.
I wasn't there in 1791, but you can understand why I roll like I roll.
I see. But then we also have August 21st, 1831, which is the start of Nat Turner Rebellion. And then we have August 21st of 1971, which is George Jackson's Day of Sacrifice. And so when we look at this day, it's a powerful day. It's a day that we're supposed to be doing a 24-hour fast. I do fasting a little differently, but we fast, we study, we train, and we fight. We absolutely lift up Baba AK's book, which he knows my story about. I don't read it on planes anymore because people will look at you sideways with a cover that says we will shoot back. But we also read, we're in the midst of our study sessions, our Black August read of George Jackson's Blood in My Eye. And I think in this moment, we want to make sure that we think about what is guerrilla warfare and what does guerrilla warfare look like in this day and time. So that's what I got.
Say that. So make that point.
So Blood in My Eye is about guerrilla warfare, right?
Yes, it is.
Like, and in these moments where, Comrade George said fascism is already here, he was talking in 1971. I don't know about that in 1971, maybe, but definitely in 2026, it is textbook fascism.
Absolutely.
And so when you think about white supremacist capitalism, having us outgunned, having more money, having what seems to be more power, we must not, and this is this is Jonathan Jackson's words, we cannot overestimate our enemies. We overestimate them and we underestimate ourselves. Guerrilla warfare is about recognizing that everything is a weapon. Our spirituality is a weapon, our study is a weapon, but also our fight is a weapon. We cannot submit to our oppression, and we have power. We have power. And when we gather up and really are strategic about using our collective power, we can defeat and topple the enemy, and we will, inshallah.
Now, mashallah. Now, having said that, you have just, in your columns, you have lifted up George. That's now you. I hope they don't start messing with her because of what she lifting up, because everybody can't deal with George. There comes some other kind of class spaces, and so how have folks responded to those writings? And I want you to also tell us about, people don't recognize this about the work that you're doing right now and all of the network that is Black Lives Matter grassroots, that you have prison chapters and an organizer in prison, in this tradition. That name, make sure you share that to all of us so we understand the breadth of this work that you're doing.
Sure. So Black Lives Matter grassroots is Black Lives Matter in its truest form. We are the boots on the ground. We're the front lines. We don't have a whole lot of money, but we got a whole lot of people. We always say we stand on front lines, not on red carpets. And we are now 56 chapters all around the world. We're larger in terms of numbers and chapters than Black Lives Matter has ever been. This is the largest it's been. And we have 3 onboarded. That means that they spent 6 months engaging in political education and really grounding themselves in these shared principles. 3 prison chapters, all of them in California. Part of it is there's this really brilliant brother who I was honored to co-write this week's. I have a column in the Los Angeles Sentinel.
Get ready to drop it. Keep talking.
We co-wrote this week's column together. Brother Jamu is what I'll call him because he's up for a parole hearing. We don't want them knowing who it actually is.
Right on.
But Brother Jamu, they keep moving him, and every time they move him, all they do is spread Black Lives Matter grassroots, because everywhere he goes, he
can organize. Right on.
He's an organizer, very talented organizer. He also, I think, and I would love to hear Baba AK's thoughts about this, that as we talk about political prisoners and Black August being a month explicitly for political prisoners, we talk about our classic political prisoners like Mumia, like Baba Sekou, right, who were imprisoned for their political work. And then we also know Comrade George, as Baba AK lifted, went in for a petty theft for allegedly stealing $70, but stayed in because of his political work, right? And when we think about that, it's one of the reasons why we say free them all. And we also have to recognize that political prisoners didn't stop. They didn't stop making political prisoners in 1960s and 1970s.
Right.
That we got people like Sister Brittany Martin, who thankfully we just got freed, who they imprisoned for leading a Black Lives Matter march, right? A mother of 7 children who they imprisoned for leading a Black Lives Matter march in South Carolina. And she was sentenced to years in prison and was only freed because of the organizing of the people. But when we think about people like Brother Ajamu, who went in when he was 16 years old, even if they did what they said he did, he's now 54 years old in October. He should be freed by now. He's only in prison because of his political work. And so it's important that we remember the words of one of my Babas, Baba Hank Jones, who says, if organizers don't organize for political prisoners, we will be the political prisoners of tomorrow.
Right.
That's 38 years, by the way, that you just lifted up for our brother on the inside. And at some point, we need to have a conversation that how to help and steward him through that parole process so we can get him the hell out.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, no, but to the second part of the question, how have folks responded to your commentaries lifting up Black August and George and Jonathan and Urban and guerrilla warfare in your prison chapters? What kind of response have you been getting? What kind of energy has that generated?
I've gotten responses from the people who I already know are my enemies that weren't good, right? Like the district attorney in Los Angeles is talking about he could get me on domestic terrorism charges for protesting. I already know he's my enemy. He's a white supremacist Zionist. I hate him more than he hates me. So whatever, right? But here's when you say, what's the response? I've never received, so I've been writing in the Sentinel now for exactly a year. Had the column in the Sentinel for exactly a year. And I usually get responses when I repost it online. But apparently the Sentinel also goes to prisons in hard copy form. And I received my first ever hard copy letters to the Sentinel office from brothers who were in the inside. And that's what matters to me.
Yes, ma'am.
That it means something to them that I'm writing the way that I do. And so I could care less what District Attorney Hawkman has to say. What I care about is what these brothers who are writing me, looking up the address to the Sentinel office and writing me and saying, that it gives them strength to not be forgotten. And that matters to me. It matters to me that when we were in Collin County yesterday with Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. and many others, that Carmelo Anthony's family is reading. And I won't say what they're reading because I don't want it to influence Judge Chitty's ruling on whether or not Carmelo gets a retrial, but they are reading, that they are understanding that the theft of Carmelo's freedom is intentional by a system that means to steal our lives and our freedom. And so that's what matters most to me, as I'm telling you, Comrade Zaid, who this, and Baba AK, who I love to sit and learn from. I'm saying it, but I'm really only saying what some of the things that you taught me. Yeah.
Much too kind, Melina. Thank you.
Baba AK, let me say this. Baba AK, everybody knows. Baba AK, you want to learn something, sit at Baba AK's feet.
That's right.
Read his books. You want to learn something, watch him, model yourself after him. Baba AK, you are a model. So we're grateful for you.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I'm grateful for all three of you comrades on here. I know of your work with Melina. Actually, I was introduced to Melina by one of my younger cousins, and Hank Jones, Comrade Hank Jones. And so since that time, one thing I would correct what you said, Baba Zaid, is she made this statement now and might raise your eyebrows, but they've been after Melina for a long time now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so she,
I have
They
mentally.
might just add another report
Yeah.
to
Oh
their
yeah. Oh
attacks, and
yeah.
they tried
And
to
on that point, and we get
attack
ready to
her
do a Cuba segment
reputation,
right
things of
after
that
y'all.
nature.
On that point, we've got National Security Memo number 7
Right.
with a long list of a bunch of us on this list. And we
Right.
need to be clear is that, on this question of political prisoners, we talk about new ones. And some of
Right.
us, are real targets, and that in fact can happen. And as a matter of principle, when we come under attack, everybody else who hasn't been as targeted needs to come to our back in solidarity. 100%, without compromise.
Agreed.
That's the solidarity. That's the united front that we need right now, right? To have each other's back, trying to go up this mountain and deal with this monster, right? And it's a shame we got to wind this segment down, but I got this Cuba conversation coming right behind y'all,
Right
so I had to bring that out, right? Ed, why don't you ask them the ritual question, and we'll change it up and get ready for our next segment.
Hey, Obi.
You muted, Ed.
I guess I can ask both of y'all this question. So, and particularly you, Melina, I mean, I know, you knee deep in this struggle on the front line, but what is it that you're listening to? Like, what is motivating you, right? Because, we're music people. So, we need something to speak to our spirit. What are you listening to out there?
Shoot, everybody knows I listen to Prince all day, every day. So, Prince all day, every day. Got the tattoo behind my ear. Yeah, I wake up every morning to starfish and coffee. Also, I want to keep Pac's spirit raised during this time.
So cases that's on trial right now. That's right.
Right.
I'm not gonna watch the coverage of it, but
yeah, I'm struggling with that.
He's here. We know.
And his anniversary is just in a couple of weeks. That's real talk, right?
Well, just because I'm the elder, don't leave me out, brother.
Oh, you get everybody get
the music. No, I've been actually listening to Kamasi Washington a lot lately, but I've been listening to everybody.
That's a young voice. That's a young voice in jazz. Now I'm the jazz.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
Y'all be blessed.
Right? Yeah. And we got a lot coming up. We got a lot right in front of us. Black August ain't over either, right? We're gonna continue to study, fast, train, and fight, because that's what the moment calls for. Black August resistance.
Free the land.
Free the land.
All right,
people.
All right, y'all.
All right. Now, we got Obi, we got Baba Tony, and we got Donna. We ain't got Russell. Where's Russell?
I don't see him yet.
Okay, all right. I hope he can get on. We definitely send it out to him, right? This is a loaded 2-part conversation. In the middle of Black August is the centennial birth anniversary of none other than Fidel Castro Ruz, right? The revolutionary leader of the forever cherished Cuban Revolution, and the international icon of socialist solidarity and principle. We say long live Fidel. And in this 2-part conversation, I got Baba Tony Menelik Van Der Meer, who my last trip to Cuba was with my Baba right here. And he has been there recently and at a time when solidarity in very direct forms really matters. And Obi is back, right? Obi and Russell put together an incredible Pan-African lyrical dance called the Assata Shakur Patrice Lumumba Balongo Project. 2 volumes of Pan-African cultural solidarity from all over the African world that is fire, right? So we want to get into some of both of that. And Russell has just joined us, right? 2 strong sons of struggle. Obi's dad, a Black Power champion across the big pond. And Russell, his dad, is a Black August dad whose birthday is August 23rd, is none other than Implacable Maroon. And I was just lifting y'all up, Russell, in terms of the project as you were getting on. But let me start with the elder, right? Because he's had his eyes are the most recent direct eyes on what we have to be clear about on what's happening in Cuba, and we'll bring y'all in about the project, right? Baba Tony, what's happening on the island, and why is our solidarity so critical at this moment? And then let me reframe the question in this way. Coming out of Assata's memorial, a lot of us took to heart and made a point to make sure that we are building on the energy of Assata's memorial to make sure that Black solidarity with Cuba is paramount in our community, and that the lifting up of our freedom fighters, and of course, Kamal Siddiqui, the father of Assata's only child, is also amplified. So in that spirit, I ask you that same question.
Well, thank you, Brother Zaid, and greetings to other brothers. You know, it's important. You know, at the memorial service at Riverside, Lennox Hines made a rousing presentation, saying that in order to go through Cuba, they got to go through us. And so many young people responded to that call. And it's an important call. But what it speaks to is that we have to intensify our level of solidarity with Cuba. It means that we have to organize more broadly in the Black community, because we can't allow those folks in Florida to hold American political policy hostage. You know, so Cuba is in dire straits. It's a very bad situation. It's a genocidal situation. And so, but when we were in, some of our freedom fighters were in trouble, Cuba opened the door for them. So we can't, forget about the role that Cuba has played for us in particular. So it is our responsibility to stand with Cuba. But what's important, you don't usually see it. Cuba is the Caribbean. It's the majority of Black folks, and so we can see what's happening in Gary and Anna now. Where there hasn't been any significant response from the governor there or the president of the United States to come and address this almost Katrina-like situation that's going on there. And so, they're trying to numb our consciousness and make a genocide, acceptable. And we can't tolerate that. We have to do everything in our ability to stand with the Cuban people. That's otherwise we can't, we can't hold our heads up high, and particularly when we look at our good sister, Assata Shakur.
Absolutely.
Who was, the Cubans, really took care of her. So we have to extend that solidarity, but it's on us to organize our community to do that. And I want to, congratulate, Russell and Obi for that wonderful album, because what they've done has begun to put the question of what culture is and how do we begin to create, culture to reflect of ideology in terms of our own thinking and our perspective as to what we need to do. And them brothers need a major award for that. And anybody that's podcasting or do anything, they need to cue that piece up, and so forth. It's an amazing piece, that we have to uplift, because it speaks to, the sacrifice that our people have made. And it speaks to the vision that we have to continue to follow in terms of fighting for our freedom.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Y'all jump in. Did we lose Russell again? Obi, jump on in.
Yeah, we lost Russell. Oh, there he is. Yep, he's back.
Okay. Y'all jump in, right? The elder set you up. Let's tell everybody about.
And before Obi starts, Russell and Obi and Tony, I want to tell you, every Saturday afternoon that I get in the car and I make a drive, I listen to Wilma Leon, and for 2 or 3 weeks straight, he highlighted it. For like 2 or 3 weeks straight, he played different selections. I came back and I was like, Baba Zaid, you got to talk about, because for a couple of weeks, because it's a phenomenal work of art. So Thank you.
Thank you.
Shout out to Wilbur Leon. Right on. I don't have
Yeah.
access.
Yeah, thanks to
Um,
Mayor for that. We really
Yeah, and
appreciate that.
So y'all go ahead to
And
tell
I-
us about the project.
yeah, I was gonna, I feel like this show is one of my extended home places. So I was gonna especially since this is Black August, I was gonna defer to Brother Russell first to let him say what he has to say, and then I'll come in after him.
And in that deference, let Russell remind everybody who the implacable maroon was and is, and the shoulders you stand on as you do this.
Yes, yes. So again, first and foremost, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank the audience, and thank you all for this platform in order to raise awareness, give some political education to our communities, not in the same old kind of format, but in a very strategic format, and in a format that is our own. We talk about the importance of our culture and the importance of owning it, and the importance of using it as a tool, as a weapon. And more importantly about this project than I can say about anything is that it is once again an attempt by myself and Obi to model what it looks like to use a project, use yourself, use your network and connections to do 4 to 5 different things in one project. And so we're in a time where we can't just do an album.
Right.
That's just not, that just is not enough these days. We have to do an album that brings solidarity. We have to do an album that is a political educational tool. We have to do an album that is intergenerational, that deals with our youth and it includes them in the album, and deals with our elders and everyone in between. We have to do an album that covers our culture, musically, sonically, artistic wise on the cover, spiritually. We have to, include our ancestors, and so again, we got to include the Cuban doctors. We got to take it international. We have to go diaspora wise and include all our folks. And so that is the most important part of the project. It's us trying to model, for me, trying to model what work looks like in 2026 in a different way.
Jump in, Obi. Straight ahead.
Well, yes, always an honor to be on with you all. And I wanted to thank Brother Menelik for those kind words. We definitely have to live up to that. And it gave us a chance to show what Cuban solidarity and camaraderie looks like on a Pan-African scale, which is very important, because when you hear people in the United States say Cuba and the African community, they're only talking about Cuba solidarity and camaraderie in a North American context. And so you'll see the images of Malcolm and Fidel. Assata's name will be mentioned. But as we're having this conversation right now, my nephew, Dr. Abubakar, with a group of graduates from the Latin American School of Medicine, are in Mozambique with the Cuban doctors working on the ground, and they've been there for the whole month of August. And it's a follow-up to a visit that they had to Guinea-Bissau last August. And if people know Cuban solidarity, you know that when Samora Marshall's plane dropped out of the sky on October 19th, 1986, his life wasn't claimed, but his 2 personal physicians were Cuban doctors. And those 2 Cuban doctors are looked at as national heroes in the eyes of the Mozambican people. So when you look at this album, that's what we wanted to show. So for the people in Mozambique, they have a connection to Cuba. So because when we look at Southern Africa, we reduce it to Fidel and Nelson Mandela, or Cuba fighting in Angola. But I'm the external relations officer of the Zimbabwe-Cuba Friendship Association. From 1986 to 1996, 3,000 Zimbabwean teachers went to the Isle of Youth in Cuba for training. And they are the backbone in Zimbabwe's educational system, where there's a 97% literacy rate. When you talk about Cuba and Venezuela and their collaboration on Operation Project Miracle, which resulted in thousands of Africans getting their eyesight restored. When you look at, so it's very important. And if we even want to go back, when Antonio Maceo, called the Bronze Titan, came to the United States, he was hosted in New York City by Henry Highland Garnett. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, whose birthday was August 17th, the UNIA had 40 chapters in Cuba. So the relationship so the Cuban experience, the Cuban Odyssey, as they call it, it's an extension. But what they have done is we have to look at and I take pride in this because I was labeled a Marxist-Leninist when I was on this show previously. But we don't accept the Marxist-Leninist interpretation of Cuban-African relations, which only focuses on Mandela, which only focuses on Angola. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was the first one to acknowledge the triumph of the Cuban Revolution. Gamal Abdel Nasser comes the next day after him.
That's right.
When Ahmed Ben Bella came to the United States as part of his world tour, Kennedy tried to get him to boycott his visit to Cuba. And since we know the Cuban doctors, their first medical brigade went to Algeria in 1962. So I just wanted to begin by letting people know that this album took on a Pan-African character, because when we talk about Cuban-African relations, don't separate Cuban-African relations in North America from Cuban-African relations in South America, Central America, the Pacific, Europe, and on the African continent itself. And that's why on the album, you have artists out of Sierra Leone doing the Assata Shakur poem in Creole. You have two Ethiopian sisters doing that poem in Norwegian. You have an African sister with ties to Haiti doing the poem in French. So Africans in Senegal can vibe on it. Africans in Burkina Faso can vibe on it. Africans in Guinea can vibe on it. Senegal can vibe on it. Mali can vibe on it. Burkina Faso can vibe on it. So that's what we wanted to do. That was one of the main objectives, was to show that Cuban solidarity and camaraderie is truly Pan-African in everything. And lastly, in this first segment, Fidel Castro talked about is one of the best models of the execution of ideas. And the only other person that he ever called an apostle besides Jose Marti was Ahmed Sékou Touré. And his first visit to Africa was to Guinea in 1972.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. Donnie, you get ready to say something? No, okay. All right. Well, in the few minutes we have left, and I love that description that you just gave of Fidel, right? We just had a centennial. I'm trying to track down some folks that were actually there for the centennial in Cuba for the second part of this conversation, for the benefit of our people who are in the throes of, or need to be in the throes of, study, right?
Mm-hmm.
To come to terms with all the solidarity that you've articulated. Why is Fidel so important to us, and why must we lift up his legacy at this moment? That's for everybody. We're going to lead with the elder. Baba Tony, you go first.
Well, I think, Fidel represents a lot of things, particularly, the courage, his spirit, in terms of him standing strong and not saying, the Cubans will never surrender, and he said, if it is, that it's going to be bloodshed on that particular island. But it's also it hits to what Opie is really talking about. The sort of Pan-Africanist character that he exemplifies in terms of the global character. Him making healthcare, a sort of a priority, and so that when you go to Cuba and you see that you have all of these students from the Caribbean and Africa who are studying medicine, and then we see what the U.S. is doing in terms of trying to, cut that relationship off. But it was Cuba who stood up to the plate. They say, hey, we're going to make sure our doctors go there, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's various parts of Africa and so forth in the Caribbean. Very, very, very important. So, to stand up and oppose the type of U.S. imperialism took a lot. And, the Cuban nation is still suffering from that. It's like the Haitians are suffering, from that. And so we have to salute, Fidel for his practice and for his vision and for his dedication. And, this whole idea of, for the centennial, you see Cubans sort of celebrating that, right? Rightly so, and we have to really follow that model, especially when it comes to the question for us in terms of Black people here dealing with self-determination. We need to understand what that means, and Cuba has been an example of that for us.
Y'all can Opie, you go ahead and jump on in.
Okay. No, I was Russell. You got, because we were just rotating. Russell, you wanted to say something?
Right.
About Fidel?
Yeah, just on the question of why Fidel. Fidel, because I like to say of his military prowess. Overall, not just him, but the Cuban intelligence apparatus, second to none on the planet. I don't care if you talk about Mossad or you talk about the Russians or you talk about the Chinese. All of those are great too. But for what they have and what they're generally up against, which is the beast, which a lot of those others that we named wouldn't be able to sit, right outside those waters and do what they have done and take 300 attempts at your life and kind of, and so the intelligence, we a lot of times don't, they wouldn't be able to keep us out of there without the FBI murdering her and Fidel and everybody else on the darn island. Without that intelligence, that intelligence goes all the way down to just community folks that don't necessarily work for the state, but when they see the wrong thing, they know the wrong thing, they say something.
That's right.
I would say, like what we were saying earlier, a lot of people used to make it seem like he was just a mouthpiece for the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union didn't want Cuba to go to Angola and fight with us in Angola. They went anywhere.
As of
not only that, many of those Cubans, the Cuban-born Africans, as they call them, Afro-Cubans, when they went to Angola, they told Fidel, Comandante, we're home now. We're staying in Angola. And he had no problem with that at all. When he went to Guinea, you have to remember that in 1961, Sékou Touré expelled the Russian ambassador from Guinea for being arrogant and racist. So if he was just taking his orders from the Soviet Union, because remember, the Soviet Union put out a memorandum of who they thought were the authentic revolutionary forces on the African continent. And they excluded Sékou Touré and the Democratic Party of Guinea. They excluded Osagie for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and the Convention People's Party. They excluded non-Marxist Leninist entities in Africa. And Marxist Leninists historically have considered nationalism problematic. But Fidel, when dealing with the Palestinians, Fidel, when dealing with us in Guinea-Bissau, in Guinea, and Ghana, sitting with Malcolm X at the Hotel Teresa, he understood that colonized and people who were captured, their resistance had to have a nationalist character. So he was flexible. Secondly, He believed, the Cubans all tell you, what's the Marty quote, barricades of ideas are greater than barricades of stone. But at the same time, they use those stones, when they use those stones, they're driven by the ideas. And we have been, and many of us are guilty of ideological overkill. We don't execute the ideas that we claim to defend, that we claim to believe. And Cuba has never, and Fidel never sat back and claimed to be the ultimate Marxist-Leninist. He let his deeds represent him. Fighting in Angola, sending 4,000 doctors to Africa, sending doctors to Pakistan, and calling their doctors their greatest army. This is why this project we have with the albums is to support the 4,000 doctors in Africa, because if you look at the 7 nations in the Western Hemisphere that acquiesce to imperialism, not one African nation budged, not one of them. And with the collapse of the United States Agency for International Development, with George Bush masquerading as a born-again humanitarian, no need to talk about the Gates Foundation or any of the other ones, or the American Red Cross that didn't even start taking African blood till the 50s. We know that this could be an investment in Africa's future that we can make through the Cuban doctors. And the fact that we have graduates of the medical school in Cuba now going to African nations when they fit it into their schedule to stand next to the Cuban doctors and treat our people at a moment where of the 709 million people on earth that live on $1.90 a day, 70% of them can be found on the African continent. So once again, Africa is calling and Cuba is answering, and we have to get to a point where we're not marveling at their solidarity, but we're matching their solidarity.
It's our own. Yes.
So
sir.
that's what the album, so that's what this album represents. And Brother Menelik was with us last month, where we had the first all-African town hall meeting on Cuba in the history of the United States, where we gave organizations a chance to just highlight their history on doing work with Cuba. We had student organizations, we had labor organizations, we had clergy, we had elected officials, and the goal is to establish an African diasporic network on Cuba, which will include us in the Americas, those of us in the Pacific, those of us in Europe, and then we're going to link up with the friendship associations in Africa and have the strongest Pan-African umbrella around Cuba that has ever existed since the revolution has been in existence.
And that is what this moment has called for. Thank all of you. Donna asked the ritual question, so as we wind this down. Powerful, powerful.
So, everybody I've had here before knows this question other than Russell. So I'm gonna start with you, Russell. When doing the work that you do, is there a hip hop artist or any musician that you listen to that keeps you inspired?
Probably too many to name, and all of those off the album, including my man. I can't. No. I'm gonna tell you right now. The George Jackson of hip hop is who I'm rocking right now, like almost on loop, and that's my man, King X Pie Face from the West Coast, who almost single-handedly helped put this project together on his back. And I was just like, that's a little, it's a little sensational to be like, I'm the George Jackson of anything. Oh, he's that. Oh, he that. And I ain't talking about lyrics. I was on the West Coast, and he took me through the hoods, and I was like, "Oh, you that guy? Oh, you're the guy."
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes. Sir. Forget about the microphone. You doing that work. So, Minister Pie Face.
King X Pie Face. Okay.
Yeah, King X Pie Face. That's where I'm on right now.
Baba Tony.
Brass cats.
Well, other than the opera version of the Assata piece, I've been dealing with the question of space is the place with Sun Ra, I've been rocking, it's spring, in the summer it's almost fall again, but it's spring again, guys, I gotta rock because we gotta find, we gotta find space in the place. this was about.
Yes.
Land and controlling that land. Sunrise out there. One of the things I tell my students, they ask Sunrise to exist. He says, well, you don't exist, and they don't even care about you. So we have to make ourselves present.
Okay, and I guess that question, Sister Donna, this was the one segment in the history of this show where you didn't even need to ask that question based on what we up here to talk about. I mean,
That's
the
exactly
album,
right.
but no, and listen though, I like Shak and Zaid because he's one of my writing examples. The opera song that Tony is talking about, that's my songwriting debut. I wrote the lyrics to that. And but we were paying homage to the National Negro Opera Company, which existed from 1941 to 1962 and did an opera in solidarity with the Haitian Revolution. So that was the one thing about the album. When I was hearing voices in my left and right ear. So in one ear, I was hearing Michael Eric Dyson and Stanley Crouch and Mark Lamont Hill and people of that ilk. And in the other ear, I was hearing a conversation I had with Kwame Ture after he left Minister Farrakhan's house after the notorious B.I.G. got killed in L.A. And he asked me, when will we get to a point where we're getting the artists to do music centered around the work that we do on a daily basis? And I told him that it may take some time, but it would eventually happen. Or I'm thinking of Minister Farrakhan and his countless meetings with hip hop artists, or I'm thinking of Khalid Muhammad talking about liberation lyrics. So on one hand, I was hearing the criticisms and the concerns, and on the other hand, I was hearing the call to responsibility and the call to action. And since this was our second time, because 13 years ago, we did 3 albums with M1 from Dead Press called The Battle Cry for Cuba and Zimbabwe. So the answer is Kotolomela Bolingo, which in Lingala means resistance and love. And correction to Comrade Zaid, the album is in honor of Assata Shakur and Pauline Lumumba, not Patrice Lumumba. Pauline Lumumba, and it was the first time on a Pan-African scale through music that Pauline Lumumba was honored the way she's supposed to be honored.
Yes,
so
sir.
thank you all for the opportunity, and it's always an honor to be on with you all.
And Obi and Russell and Tony, I will say you're right. The way I should have framed the question is, when doing the work, what song on the 2 volumes is the best, is the song that most inspires you? And I think when I was listening to Wilma Leon, is there one song called Queen's Revolution?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Why did you name that one?
Yeah. Hey, cause she a woman, so that's gonna resonate with her. But no, the funny thing about that song, Sister Donna, is those of you up here, you're young enough to remember the 1973 movie The Harder They Come that Jimmy Cliff did.
Mm-hmm.
And the artist that did that song, Brother Zaya, and that's his wife Kim doing spoken word. He told me that's the first time he ever did a ska song on an album. And he said his love for Assata Shakur inspired that. And I said, wow, that's incredible, because that movie came out in 1973, which is the exact time frame that she had that encounter with the fascists at the Turnpike. So he was able to he was able to sonically reconnect us with that period in history, which is 53 years ago. So yeah. So that's cool.
Thank you. Well,
thank you guys. All right.
And as you know, don't be a stranger. Don't wait for us to call us. You can call us don't wait for us to call you. You can call us at any time.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. And it's an honor to be in your thoughts. And one more thing, since it's Mayor Baraka, it's time for you to organize a meeting with all the African mayors in this country, with the Cuban ambassador to the United States. I'm gonna reach out to you on that. You know I'm gonna, and let me say, he's the only mayor that during the corona pandemic that let his Health and Human Services Division meet with the Cuban Ministry of Public Health. So
That's
he
right.
answered the call 5 years ago.
That's
It's
right.
time to run it back. Organize a meeting with the mayors. Make that happen immediately. That's our assignment for Mayor Ras Baraka. Thank you all.
Straight ahead.
Thank
Straight ahead.
you.
Straight ahead.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
Africa
We
call.
will make sure he gets that information.
Yes.
All right.
Zaid,
y'all.
you want to transition?
Make
Yeah,
that-
that's right. I see we got Abubakar here already, right? Who do we have in the background? Is Dr. Zakari here?
Just see the commissioner here. That's it.
Is Michele on? Right, and it look like Bob.
Commissioner, do you know if Michele is signing on? Oh, we just lost the commissioner.
Well, while we're trying to figure out this transition, what should be happening is we're going to present and introduce you to the Newark African.
Oh, there's
Commission.
Michele. Now we lost the commissioner.
Michele is a commissioner.
Good
They're all
evening, sis.
commissioners, right? And so, yeah, they're all a part of the Newark African Commission, and they have an important gathering coming on. And I don't know if this is I think this is the
Yeah,
second.
he's back. He's back.
Abubakar, he's back, right? And we're expecting Dr. Zakari to also join us. And as he joins us, just tell him to come on camera, and he'll be brought right into the conversation. Well, Abubakar, I'm going to ask you.
All right, there he is. Dr. Zakari is here.
And I was trying to wait on Dr. Zakari because Dr. Zakari is the lead officer for the African Commission. Dr. Zakari, can you come on camera?
And if
mute?
not,
Because I really wanted
Dr. Zakari, can you hear us?
He may be having some issues with his connection, right? Can one of y'all try to reach him? And the other one
He just signed out, Zaid, so maybe he's gonna go out and come back in.
Who can reach him to actually reach him directly, bring him back, change browsers, whatever those kind of things we got to do, and we'll hold a conversation with the one who stays, right, and bring them all back, right? So then y'all both saying yes, but one of y'all got to do it. I need one of y'all to reach back.
Are you reaching out to him?
Yeah.
I think Abubakar is.
I'll start.
Are you reaching out? Yeah, I think he is.
Yes, I'm trying.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's start. I wanted to start with the commission chair to explain the commission and why it's important and what brought him to all of this. Right? We can still come back.
He's here. He's here.
Okay. All right. Tell him to come on camera and to come off mute, and we can bring him in. Right? Because we were looking forward really to having all of you. And sometimes in the land of the technology can be weird sometimes. So we understand how this goes. Right? Dr. Zakari, can you hear us? And he's muted and he's not on camera. I don't know if he can hear us. I think he may still be having some connection challenges. While he's doing that, Michele, let me lean on you as the organizer, right? And start off with the conversation about just what's going to happen on August 27th. And we'll talk about the broader picture and the work of the commission when he comes back.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having us. This is our first time and hopefully not our last on your program. So on Thursday, August 27th at 5:30, from 5:30 till 8, we have our second annual Black August Back to School edition. So Brother Zaid is our guest speaker. We've also going to give away book bags and other school supplies. We also have 2 other invited guests that we're excited about. Sister Nduku okay, where did I write her? Mulumba. She's a Kenyan board educator. She's going to speak about education. She's also a researcher, community organizer, and language specialist. So we're excited to have her. And the other invited guest is Nweri Burge, history teacher and a professor at Kane University. And he's also a filmmaker. So he's going to discuss his documentary, his award-winning documentary. It won the 2018 Best Doc from Black Star International Film Festival in Ghana. And the title of his documentary, let's see, I have it written here, is DNA, Using Genealogy to Change My Slave, in parentheses, last name. So he's going to be our speaker also. So we're looking forward to that.
Doctor, can you hear us okay now? We see you. Can you hear us
Dr.
okay?
Zakari?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear
Very
you.
good, very good.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. I want you, as the lead commissioner, to tell everybody about the actual, just what the Newark African Commission is. And then I want each of you, in your own national African way, to tell why the work is important to each of you and why it's important to the broader global African world to have what we're doing right here in Newark.
Okay, this is a big surprise, but anyway, we can tap in. First of all, thank you for having me here, and then I'm so grateful to be part of this great family. We just had the invitation for our colleague Commissioner Michele yesterday that there's an important gathering coming up where the commissioner's attention or presence will be needed. So therefore, we came here to support him, but since you gave me an opportunity to really talk about the commission, yes, African Commission came into existence for a simple purpose. We realized that within the African community and the people of I would say the Black community, there's so many disengagement in the way we handle our affairs and in the way we want to move where we find ourselves from. So I believe in the leadership of our mayor, he decided that there's a need for us to have a centralized area where we can bring our ideas together to be able to champion the image and the interests of African people as well as Africans in diaspora. So this is how the African Commission came about. Since the formation of this great institution, a lot of things have happened in the past before I even came in the commission. And when I assumed the position as the president too, we did a lot of stuff, which we're still doing a lot of stuff. And most of the great things that the African Commission is doing is to go around and tap on the good talent that African people have. When I say African people, I don't mean Africans who migrated here, but I mean all, I would say all Africans, anybody who has an African origin, irrespective of where you find yourself. So important personality like the people that I found on this stage today, look at the kind of knowledge that people have, look at the kind of interest, the zeal, the passion, the energy to make changes in people's life. So these are kind of the crops that we're trying to bring together to come within the scope of the African Commission so that together we'll be able to bring something meaningful for our people, our community, and also bring what is known as emancipation of people through dialogue and philosophy of nonviolence. Thank you.
Now, having said that, my dear brother, now you are from the great country of Ghana. You're from Nkrumah land.
Yeah.
You know, the fountainhead of Pan-Africanism in a very real way, right? How did you come to this work in this way with this intensity and ultimately at this level?
Like you said, back home from Ghana before I even migrated to this country, I usually engage in public activities to help people who really need. And of course, I came across this book, the book of Malcolm X, and Malcolm X. I read a book about Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King when I was in university in Ghana. So I get inspired the kind of struggle people pass through, and then they were able to make meaningful change. And then I get to a point whereby I had people who sponsored all my education and everything as African, and I asked myself, what can I do to make a change? If we have people who have transited from a very struggle level to a level that they were able to give back to the community, then I asked myself, what can I do to make a change? So this is where I said, look, let me start engaging in community activities. I started going from one community to the other, listening to the views of our people. What do they understand by development? What do they understand the Black movement? Have they read anything about our ancestors or so forth? So when I came to this country, then I started to search where can I get people who really understand about the Africanism movement. And, gradually I discovered this African, I would say, this commission, and that's how I get engaged. And I met good people like Michele and stuff, who is now gradually bringing me closer and closer to how to understand what the Black movement is about. And I'm willing to get myself really involved in that so that together we can make a meaningful change and make our people surface in front of the map and become a very meaningful tool in making a country a better place. Thank you.
Now, let me ask you this, because you got an important bio and you got important connections to the United Nations, and particularly to the United Nations Youth Network for Resolution 2250, right?
Yeah.
We are in a time when the United Nations itself as an entity is coming under some attack. There are some entities who refuse international legal accountability and want to actually disregard the value, the intent, and the purpose, and the importance of the UN, right?
Yeah.
The value of the UN as an international body of solidarity and human rights. What say you?
As you know, the United Nations is a very big institution on its own. And of course, it gives each and everyone the liberty, the freedom to express their view to whatever level they are, whatever view they have, they give everybody such freedom to express their view. And then when you look at the resolution 2250, technically it's a resolution that has been established by United Nations to enable us champion the agenda of youth to be more engaging in making a meaningful change in the world. So like you said, with the attack on the human rights and so forth, we have a lot of people who always, including myself, make our voice heard over there. Why is this thing being made in that way or that way? But yet sometimes when it comes to gathering, as far as the United Nations is concerned, there are times a discussion will be made and points will be also outlined. But by the end of the day, no matter what you discuss or you push, it might end up coming to a point where people have to vote. So when it turns out to be that the outcome of the vote turns out to be this majority that goes on the other side, and whilst people who are pushing for certain agenda don't have enough vote, most of the time it seems like we don't have a representation, but technically we do. But I'll say our number is not sometimes very meaningful that could make much change. And this is why I felt there's a need to encourage other people to be able to affiliate themselves with such great institution that has been given the mandate to regulate the world affairs, so that together we'll be able to have a meaningful vote or to convince people to come on our side, so that our agenda for this freedom that we're talking about, we'll be able to push it together.
Abubakar, you are probably one of the most visible faces of our great Newark African Commission. Tell that. What say you? What brings you to this work in this way? You are a son from Cote d'Ivoire, right? And then the Cote d'Ivoire contribution. What say you, sir?
For me, it's a love. I want to say thank you first of all to you, brother. You're a phenomenal brother, and I want to thank all of you. I want to thank the city of Newark, the beautiful people of Newark. So shout out to my people of Newark. Shout out to all my Africans. Shout out to my Ivorian people, my Latino people, everybody that makes this beautiful city a great city. So I came to this commission for the love of people and love of service, because we have to make sure that we know that this commission was created in 2007, We had some great African in the city of Newark, like from Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and so on, were able to fight so we can have this commission. And this commission even inspired later the Latino, the Hispanic Commission. So this is I was volunteering since 2007. I was not even a commissioner. I became a commissioner in 2016. So all those years, that's why everybody knows me. I was just a volunteer. So 2016, I became a commissioner. 2019, I became the secretary. 2021, I became the president. And now we have a new president, Dr. Hamza Zakari. So for me, it's a passion, public service and politics and the betterment of people and also bring people together. That's very important because for me, I'm very inclusive. And also, I think there is a big gap between us Black people. That really hurts me. So my contribution is to reduce this gap among us, like African American, and even within African people, we have some struggle with each other. So how to make it easier is by helping people, by being involved. So that's how I came to this commission. That's how I came to the city of Newark. And for me, Newark, it's a great city because I feel good here. I feel like in Africa because you are great people. So anybody who criticizes Newark in a bad term has problem with me because this city is great. But we have to help our brothers and sisters because you paved the roads here for us. Our brothers and sisters, African American, suffer a lot for us to be here today. We got to recognize that, and people need to be educated about it. So I don't blame anybody who doesn't know a story, but we have to learn. Myself, I'm still learning. So we have to be mindful that we cannot blame people who don't know. We got to help them to know the reality and why it's so important for us to be together, to work together, to help each other, and make this city and this world better. So
Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, you gave us the perfect segue to Madam Commissioner because you raised up the question of education being the key bridge building tool that is Pan Africanism. Now, Madam Commissioner, you are an educator, right? Tell what you
Yes,
share us
yes.
your story and how you came to be a part of this formation, and then we'll come back to the gathering itself.
Okay, well, about 3 or 4 years ago, I saw on social media there was a request for a donation of books, and the deputy mayor, Ligia De Freitas, and I believe Abubakar were both at the school where I dropped off the books that summer afternoon, and they just asked if I was interested in participating, and that's how it started. I started attending meetings and the events that they were having, the flag raisings first, before I started attending meetings. And from there, just volunteering, helping out any way that I can. And actually, I was just sworn in yesterday. So now I'm official.
Wow. Now,
Yep,
well,
I'm
let me.
official.
I gotta pull you back a little bit because I know you walk a little longer probably than some of the others. Now, you also a daughter of African Echo, so your
Yes,
journey your journey is has some length that we want to appreciate, right?
yes, yes,
I
yes.
certainly appreciate the length, and teachers have the minds of our children in their hands, and they also make good organizers because we always explaining things, right?
Yes, yes.
Why people must
Can I
do
go
that.
ahead?
Come on in, Donna. You can jump in. Come on.
No, I just wanted to ask a question. This commission has been around 726, almost next year will be 20 years. And as you approach that, the unfortunate act of this administration down on 1600 has probably brought new work to your desk. If
Right out we
we
know.
as black and brown people line up on Ken Gibson Boulevard and taped our mouth, you couldn't tell who was from the Ivory Coast, who was from Newark, who was from Ghana, who was from Haiti,
From
Jamaica,
Jamaica. Right.
and other places. So as this work and with Delaney Hall right here in the community, how has that new that that work, how has that come upon your desk? And can you just, and I don't want to take you off, I just want to know, is there anything that you're doing in terms of what this administration is trying to do to calm the community and educate the community?
I think that's a great question.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And y'all can answer as you see fit. Come.
So I don't know who wants to start, but I know
I'm gonna go.
the brother from Cameroon, Serge Demafak. I know he's involved with helping with immigration issues. So I don't know if either one of you want to jump in to elaborate more about the work that he does.
Yes, I think if my president allows me,
Yeah,
you know.
I'll allow you to speak, but let me give
Okay, go ahead.
the institutions that we have, and then you will answer the question. Thank you for such a wonderful question. Like I said earlier on, the goal of this commission is to be able to bring everything to the doorstep of Black and brown people. That is the actual goal of this. So right from beginning, I think within the commission, we have subcommittees. Okay, within the subcommittee, we have the business committee, we have the immigration committee, and we have, I think, culture committees. We have almost like 5 committees. So each committee has a role that they play to help people. So that is where Commissioner Demifat comes in. That helps with immigration stuff, which I'm going to allow Commissioner Abubakar to speak much about it because I think he's our public engagement officer for the commission. So Commissioner Abubakar, you can go ahead.
Yes, so for like the president and Honorable Michele said, Serge Demifak is our point of contact for immigration issue. But we did something when we had the vague of immigrant who came lately, essentially from Guinea. You know, they didn't have any information, so we're trying to help them with some paperwork and to give them some information, and also to make sure that they know their right. Through Mr. Demifak will really help us with that. The commissioner from Cameroon. We had a small booklet that we used to distribute to people to know their right in case of arrest or something. And then we went to the community to have a meeting with the community, especially the Guinean community, because that was a large community that arrived lately, and to give them some information how to be a part of Newark. Newark is a sanctuary city, as we know. So through the mayor action, we have a great mayor. We really had this idea to have a Newark ID for people who have no document at all, so they can at least live correctly in this city of Newark, because we don't want people to commit crime because they cannot eat or so on. So we have to give them a frame, and information is a key, and education. So that's what the commission was trying to do. We tried to do that. It's not easy because people are afraid. Until today, with ICE in our city and in our streets, people are afraid to go out. So when we have event for the African Commission, they don't come because they're afraid. They say even at City Hall they can be arrested. So I think we need to continue to educate people with the right. And that's why we always say thank you to the mayor, because mayor took some risk to go to Delaney Hall and check on those immigrants who were arrested and incarcerated over there, and he gets blamed for that because politically it's not always good to because some people in Newark are gonna say, okay, you thinking about immigrant, what about no? But what about us? But mayor understand that the issue is larger than the immigrant right now because the next step is about the African American. So I think we need to continue to work with our deputy mayor also, Lydia de Freitas. We can be our direct liaison with the immigration office building next to the city hall. So that's a great asset. And sometime what we did in the past, we did some session of information for people who are undocumented all people who are documented who want to become citizen. So we did some workshop to give them information with lawyers and everything. But we need to do more, and we need help too. So there's a lot of things to do.
Yeah, and then there's a very important information that I want to put across, especially amidst this immigration pressure that is ongoing with the immigration issue currently. Last week, we organized a very big gathering for Hispanic community, which was also about this immigration, know your right, and it was done in one Baptist church on the 60th Street or so, and a lot of people came and were able to educate them. Even though, like we said, well, it's African Commission, but the goal is we serving humanity, including white people. Okay, including white people. So we just went there to give them those information, and they were very, very grateful, and they gave us, they extended an invitation for us to come there again and then give them much education. And then as far as ICE is concerned, we have a lot of people who are under deportation, and they have to report to ICE for as part of the protocol that was given to them before they released them in the country. So because of what is going on, a lot of people are scared to go. But personally, in my community, I was able to put like 34 people who are well educated, give them much knowledge about how to handle the situation. So those people lead those individuals who are supposed to report to ICE. I share with them the protocol, and we have been taking them to the federal building for reporting, and successfully, none of them has been arrested. We go there, we follow the protocol. Sometimes I go with them. I tell them I'm a commissioner. I'm from this. So they, after doing everything, they're like, "Oh, you're good. You can go. You can go." So I'm just putting this across. If we know anybody who had to report to ICE, they don't have to be scared. They just have to know the right people who have the right information and who has the time to lead them to the ICE building. And then definitely sometimes, especially in Newark here, I would say they are very friendly, and then they understand the protocol, and then they handle the situation with professionalism. Thank you.
Thank you.
So President Zakari and Commissioner Abubakar and Commissioner Michele, I want to thank you very much for. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to say thank you, and also congratulations on being sworn in, Commissioner Michele. Abubakar, you had another thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think it's very important to tell our people and the people in general, the immigrants in general, that our commission is serving under the Office of International Relations and Diasporas of Affairs. This is the Office of the Mayor, which is run by Deputy Mayor Lydia de Freitas. So we want to make sure that they know the location of this office is located at City Hall on the second floor. City Hall 920 Broad Street or 920 Mayor Kenneth A. Gibson, room 218A, room 218A. So in Newark, it's in City Hall. So make sure all the people who want information, the immigrants, even in a difficult situation, don't be afraid. You can come to City Hall in room 218A on the second floor, and you'll be welcome. And this office won't solve all the problems, but you're gonna have the resources to go through your issues, and we're gonna be glad to assist you, no matter your nationality, your background. There's no problem about it.
And if you
Thank
can,
you.
can you put that in the chat so we can lift that up? Because we definitely want to lift that up.
Okay.
Did you say the address?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it on the chat right now.
Mm-hmm. And now, do any of you want to have any closing? Well, Michele, you should certainly have some closing remarks about the date. Let's repeat it. Remind everybody when and where on August 27th. I should say this, that August 27th is the anniversary of the passing of W.E.B. Du Bois, right? A legendary radical scholar and Pan-Africanist who also lived long enough to correct some mistakes in his own life. Unity is the order of the day. Pan-Africanism is the broader global unity of the African world, right? He made a mistake, as did some of his contemporaries, in attacking the best organizer of the day in Mr. Garvey. He lived long enough to realize that he made that mistake and to admit it and correct it. No accident in history that he ultimately leaves the United States and goes back to Africa the way Mr. Garvey was telling us to do and winds up, Dr. Zakari, in Ghana. Winds up in Ghana. So I just have to give you that Pan-African Black August moment to wind up the conversation. Donna asked him the ritual. Well, Hakim is here.
That's what I was gonna say. Hakim is
Hakim
here.
asked the ritual question, right?
Right.
Let us start with this ritual question, beloved. Welcome back.
Peace. So I am the resident hip hop ambassador for the great city of Newark, New Jersey. All politics are local. And though, our culture transcends hip hop culture, I just want to ask you fine people, what artist, what musician supplies the soundtrack for the work that you do, whether it be hip hop, Afro beats, traditional African sounds, jazz, whatever it is, what artist supplies the soundtrack for your superhero work?
Without hesitation, for me, two of my favorites are KRS-One and Chuck D.
I'd have to agree with that. But two of my biggest influences. Absolutely.
Right, yeah.
Dr. Zakari, how about yourself?
I'm just putting it together. But I'll just go to what Michele said, because to be honest, I just got the info about it and then I don't want to lie. So it's something that I'm now going to start looking into or paying attention to that before I'll make a choice.
And it could be any. Don't let you bring us into music that you listen. Teach us something new. Who are you? Who inspires you?
I'm a jazz poet.
Honestly, when I went to, I usually listen to the Quran mostly. To be honest, I don't.
Allahu Akbar. The Quran has its own music.
Yeah. So, but that doesn't go to say I don't like music. Maybe I didn't have anybody who pull me in. Maybe now I'm gonna connect with him to let me start loving some music.
Abubakar, what say you, beloved?
Me, I'm very eclectic. I listen to everything: jazz, hip hop, rap, African music, Latino. I love music because I was introduced to music at my early ages by my uncle. So I was in Africa at 6 years old, listening all the disco and all. So listen, I'm musical.
Reminds me of OJ's. I love music, sweet music, any kind of music, as long as it's swinging.
That's it.
That's about one.
What say you, Madam Commissioner Michele?
Well, she told us KRS-One and Chuck D.
She did.
Yeah,
well,
that's right.
So no hesitation.
But while I'm here, you find people know about 24 Hours of Peace?
Yes,
definitely.
Are you going to be attending 24 Hours of Peace?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be there too, definitely. I'll be there with Commissioner.
Excellent.
And to tell you the truth, we were scheduling our event on that day, but because of that, We change the date.
Right, that's right. How about that?
Yes.
Wow.
How about that? And thank you
Yeah.
for that. As you go, let me give you this. You mentioned our brother Sergis Demifak, who's from Cameroon. In the early 70s, we had a great brother from Cameroon named Mano Dubango.
Ah,
Loved the
one of
hell
the
out of
best.
it. Played his Soul Makosa to death.
Soul Makosa, yeah.
That was one of our party
Yes.
records. Absolutely. Right?
Great,
Mama
great
And
man.
say, Mama
Feel the
sa,
blues.
Mama makusa.
Yes, sir.
Makosa.
Right? So thank you, all three of you. We're looking forward to next Thursday, right? And we'll have that
Yes.
on blast,
Next
and we're looking for an incredible time. We need to start that conversation about how we're going to observe the 20th anniversary of the commission. Donna's question led to a very important part of place, especially to think about. And, you know, have all hands on deck. I certainly would be glad to help.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brother Azaid. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate
Thank
it.
you. And don't wait
Thank
for us
you.
to call you. Call us if we need to know something.
No problem. We will.
Definitely. Thank you so
We'll
much.
come back. Thank you.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
All right.
Hakim is back. What's up, beloved? I know you got a lot.
Right now, I'm celebrating the 13th anniversary of meeting my beautiful wife.
Awesome.
We met in what was that? Wow, 2013.
And let me just say something.
August 21st. So I'm
Wow, y'all got married on August 21st?
No, we got married on February 3rd, 2017.
February 3rd, okay.
We met on August 21st, 2013.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're kind of celebrating the moment. So I don't want to stay too long, but I just want to give you guys a quick update on 24 Hours of Peace, Love, Unity, Safely Having Fun, going down on August 28th, August 29th, next Friday and Saturday. We got a crazy dope lineup. A big shout out to the mayor, the Honorable Mayor Baraka, for making this all possible. Of course, Chief of Staff Amiri Baraka, everybody involved, OVP, Brick City Peace Collective, Susu. Big shout out to everybody who helps make this event go each and every year. But this year we got an ill lineup. First of all, we're downtown. We're on Market in Halsey. We're going to be on Halsey Street all the way down to McCarter Highway. That whole stretch on Market Street is 24 Hours of Peace. And we got Brother J coming through. We got Bunna B coming through. We got MC Light. We got Freeway and Memphis Bleak from The Rock. We got Doo-Wop and Ron G doing a special mixtape tribute. We got DJ Jersey Joe Doughboy along with DJ Prince Cannon. They're going to do a little old school, new school verses. We got, of course, Chief DJ Midi Baraka on the 1 and 2s, along with DJ Quad doing house music till about 5, 6 in the morning. We start back up with yoga at 8 a.m., health and wellness with Nikki D, Hakim Indio Champ, Queen Moore doing our spoken word poetry ensemble. And then we got some special treats going on Saturday. Arsenal and Sue Surf, two of the premier battle rappers straight out of Jersey. They're going to be rocking with us. We got DJ Taj and Friends featuring the group 41 and Coy Ray and Zeddy Will. So it's going to be off the chain.
All right, and happy anniversary to you. And
Thank you.
And as you count, no, I was gonna say as you count down these last couple of days, well, you named the list of the artists who are going to be there, but is there a wake up song or a song to get you started on each day up into these last couple of days?
You know, I'm like the brother said earlier, I actually listened to a little bit of everything. I was in my 80s, 90s rock mode. But man, I get in everything from Stevie Wonder to Curtis Mayfield and Marvin Gaye to, of course, KRS-One and Chuck D, Public Enemy, Run DMC, and, you know, Channel Live. Gotta represent Channel Live. Mobb Deep, Wu-Tang, The Lox. You know, I'm in the gym almost every day, and, you know, my soundtrack scans decades. And, you know, I love music.
That's actually one of my favorites by the OJs.
I know one
Yeah,
of
man.
the talk radio I listened to, one of the songs came up, I think over 25 years, is one of Stephanie Mills' song, Something in the Way You Make. I love Stephanie Mills. Yes, I love
Man, one of
Stephanie.
the
Ooh,
greatest voices ever.
yeah, I remember seeing her in The Wiz when I was a little
Oh yeah,
girl.
I
Stephanie's
did too.
voice.
Yeah, yeah. I saw her in the
Yeah,
Wiz when
you
I was
did,
about
you get,
7 years
yeah, that
old,
was a
7 years
treat,
old.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Miss,
Yeah.
We
and
actually,
So
she's from Harlem. Yeah, original.
We,
Ooh,
we actually
isn't
had to.
yeah,
what you say,
but you
Zay?
know,
We actually had to protest Stephanie because we had during the last days of apartheid, we had a
Mm-hmm.
cultural boycott of their Sun City, and that's when the apartheid regime would kick out large sums of money to black and brown and rock performers to come to perform in South Africa and be a part of the facade that there was no racism there, right? So we had this boycott, this cultural boycott, and a lot of our artists supported it. Some didn't. Stephanie got caught up in the mix, unfortunately, and that it had to be educated and embarrassed. But there's no denying her musical equipment and their gifts.
yeah, but
Like you said,
Stephanie,
everybody gets it right.
and
Come back. Yeah.
I remember, well, not remember, but she's extremely active and extremely vocal, very radical, very, political in a bunch of her open stances, public stances. So I'm sure late
It
80s,
took a
early
minute to
90s,
get it. We had to get her there.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's all right. Takes its time.
Yeah,
Takes its
like you
time.
just said. Yeah. And well, so this time next week we won't see you because you will be backstage, front stage, side stage, getting it in.
Yeah,
So,
getting it in.
and what time
Absolutely.
should people start showing up?
Kicks off at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. on Friday. We go 24 hours straight through to 6 p.m. on Saturday. The local artist lineup is crazy. But Brother Jay is scheduled to hit the stage at Bunna B is scheduled to hit the stage at 9:30. We go Bunna B, Brother Jay, Memphis Bleak, Freeway, MC Light is the headliner for Friday night. Yeah, so
I want to shout out to you mentioned Brother Jay. I want to shout out Lumumba Carson.
yeah, son of Sonny Carson.
My little brother Lumumba Carson. I go back with Sonny. I've been in the streets with Sonny for a lot of years, right up to Sonny couldn't be in the street no more, and it broke our hearts when Lumumba got sick, and we ultimately lost Lumumba, and he was still a young man, and Lumumba was, the glue, the political, the mature glue that had made their organization a real force.
This is
And,
protected by
that's
the
right.
red,
Black,
the black,
and
and the green.
Yeah. Oh.
With the key. Sissies. Oh man, I miss Lumumba.
Yeah,
I miss
we all
Lumumba.
miss.
Yeah, man.
Right.
But listen, I got to get back to my beautiful wife.
That's right.
On that
And
note, let me
listen,
say this, congratulations. My generation was a terrible example on making black love work. We don't had more. We hardly get married, and we divorced like crazy. We would set terrible example. I'm glad somebody got it right out of y'all example, and I hope y'all change the game for real.
One day at a time. But Donna, before I go, what did you think about Basketball is Life?
basketball's life is everything. We'll be talking about it, and not next week, the week after, because my mentor
Yeah,
is getting back. So,
yeah,
but
and
I
I
also
need
wanted
to
to.
be, I need to be on that show. So the week after.
Okay, that's why I said, yeah.
Set it up.
But
That's in
but
the
I
wind.
do want to shout out also another beautiful woman in your life, your mom. She got hitting proms in this stage, hitting her prom. A shout
She
out
get
to
her
you
mom get her sexy
with,
on.
with her shoulder off.
She got the shoulder
Yeah.
out. Oh man, she blew me away. I was like, look at them Gwendolyn Green here. What's going on?
Living.
Oh man, me and her, she and I actually driving up to 24 Hours Pizza. She's gonna be up there next weekend, Donna.
Oh wow!
All right.
Wow.
I was like, look at
She's
her with
gonna
her
be
shoulder
rocking with
out.
me.
A couple of them, her and her friends got their shoulder out. I was like, okay.
Yeah. You know, hey
Hey,
man,
I
you only
just
live
wanted to come
once.
on, man. I wanted to say
What
congratulations.
up, Ed?
Brother, I just want to say congratulations, man. You know,
Thank you.
you
Appreciate you,
get
man. I'm looking
black
forward to
love.
coming up, man, seeing my family.
Yeah, man.
So,
Looking forward to it,
I'll see
man.
you guys next weekend.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
looking forward to seeing
Happy
you, brother.
anniversary to you.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All
All
right,
right.
Hot.
Thank you, Hop.
Peace, brother.
Hawk definitely got the music, as we used to say back in the days of Miri Baraka's Blue Ark.
As we get ready to close out, has there been any updates on we know in this Black August now you add to the name Nolan Wells. His birthday was just August 19th and he
Yes.
turned 19. And
Would
I
have
don't
turned
know, is
19.
it
Yes.
19 or August 19th? Any updates? But I know a lot of stuff has continually come out. And I think there was another story of another young man who several years ago had drowned as well, and they had tried to cover it up. These,
Who was that?
between hangings and
This
drowning.
litany of hangings needs some serious investigation of our own kind. Because that ain't, I mean, we do have an emerging suicide problem. And I've been touched by it personally several times. But we don't do that. Right? Sandra Bland, there's still a lot of questions about was that suicide or was something done to her?
Right.
But
We have the mental health, and and is there any part of Black August where the mental health it was just a constant part of it?
Well,
But
let me say this. Next,
mhm.
the 27th is the anniversary of the killing of Andrew Washington by the Jersey City Police in a mental health crisis. That weekend, this is the third anniversary. That weekend, his family, led by his Aunt Tony, who's been on this show, is hosting a mental health awareness day because of the pressure that and the hell that we raised in Jersey City over Andrew. On March 25th, they made August 27th Andrew Washington Mental Health Day for Jersey City, right? So that belongs in the conversation, absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a lot. So keep that in the
Absolutely.
forefront. So
Black August affirmed
and even the
police
professor too in Cambridge. That oh my God, the professor
Tell
of
everybody what
Cambridge
you're
who what you said, Zay?
Tell everybody what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, the professor in Cambridge who was under a lot of scrutiny
Oh yeah.
by
Yeah, that professor.
um
Yeah.
by this one man who who just tried to scrutinize him over one area of something he had written. And I want to say the university
They
actually
accused him
came
of
out and said,
they accused the professor of plagiarism.
right. And I think the university came out and said there's no finding.
Right.
So we should keep amplifying that. But the fact that it, as a young person, sometimes, young people are, because of the zeal and everything, but sometimes it's a lot. That social backlash is a lot. And to really find him unalive is something unfortunate, a very bright mind in our community.
You don't have the name of that because some of us don't know that story.
It's Professor Arday, and he was it was it's a study called eugenics. This person who studied eugenics who was really on him and found like a piece of one of his writings, and he said it was plagiarism because he did not annotated correctly, but as I said, the university has come out, like many people have said since then, oftentimes when you're writing, sometimes you don't always get to, document everything the right way. So, but they didn't find any findings, but it's Professor Arday.
Okay. Because I don't think everybody knows that story.
And what they did, Zaid, they basically drove that brother to commit suicide because it was an all-out attack, right? By all.
Can you speak up a little bit so we can hear what you're saying?
The volume's down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It was an all-out attack. you know, on this brother, you know. I mean,
Wow.
and for the most part, I mean, every media outlet in Europe was coming against him, so there was nowhere that he could go, and being one of the youngest professors at that university. So you know, and being black, so you know what he was up against. You know,
Wow.
the
That's
fact
just,
is that you know it's difficult enough. You know, I mean, think about I forget that guy who basically who became a congressman in New York who lied about everything. Remember
yeah.
that guy?
Yeah. I'm drawing. I'm looking that up.
And he even went to jail, right? And Trump pardoned him and so forth. I mean, he didn't give a damn about all the lies he was telling about his job, education, his job, his education. I mean, nothing, right? But there was no all-out media, you know, attack on him. He was a Latino, right?
Hmm.
Remember that, right?
New York.
Yeah, from New York. Yeah,
Oh,
but
he just lied again. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he went to jail and Trump pardoned him. Said it was unfair
Hmm.
to send him to jail for lying. I mean, basically. So, I mean, you know, you gotta understand, you know, right now there's an attack on black people, period, in this country, right? And I don't care who you are.
You talking about George Santos?
Yeah, that
Hmm.
dude said,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So,
We just lied again. Yeah.
All he does is lie. Yeah, he was just someone one of the worst.
yeah, I mean, you know, they
And
even
Trump is
accused,
trying to create, as fascists do, create this aura where they can do no wrong and they are not accountable to anyone.
yeah, they even, I mean, remember they just recently accused him. Well, you know, I mean, they said that he had some inside information with trading, and he, you know, he betted on that and so forth. I mean, it's crazy, you know. So
Ridiculous.
it don't stop, man.
Yeah.
But
Zaidi, are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Think our
no, no,
lineup.
yeah, we're getting ready to close out. But go
Well, let
ahead.
me say, let me do a shout out to somebody who we love and who I love, and that's Councilwoman Amina Bear. She has a birthday today. Just
That's
want to
right.
give her
Hey,
some
yep.
sincere
Ah.
birthday love. Yes, her birthday is today. Uh, and the lineup, we had a full lineup, very full lineup. Of course, we had the mayor tonight. We had my daughter Keesha Eure, deputy mayor on public safety. We had a powerful conversation on Black August and George Jackson with Melina Abdullah, Black Lives Matter Grassroots, and Baba AK, Baba Akanyele Umoja. And then in the following segment, we had a strong Cuba conversation with my Baba, my Baba Lao, Baba Tony Menelik Van Der Meer, who just was recently back from Cuba, doing some direct hand-to-hand solidarity. And the producers of the Patrice Lumumba, I'm sorry, the Assata Shakur Pauline Lumumba Belongo Project, two-volume Pan-African lyrical display of real black love and solidarity with Cuba that can be found on YouTube. Go to Assata Shakur Pauline Lumumba Belongo Project and look that up. That is in the chat on our show, right? Two volumes. Enjoy. You see, all our music, our spoken word tradition in several different languages, all lifting up who we are in our Pan African tradition. We came behind that with introducing the community to the Newark African Commission with Commissioner Ansar Zakari, Abubakar Coyote, and Michele Baity, and they're getting ready to lift up Black August at City Hall in their annual book giveaway to young people. That's going to happen on August 27th at City Hall at 5:30. And of course, Hakim just took us out, reminding us of how loaded 24 Hours of Peace is going to be, and celebrating his own love with his own wife, as he should, and as Ed does, and as Jonathan does, and all you married folks who do. Now, I salute y'all for being able to do that.
And this time next week, all 24 hours of peace will be lighting
Oh
up
yeah,
downtown North, starting at 6 p.m.
Yeah. Back on Broad Street. Yeah.
No, it's going to be on Halsey and Market.
Oh, it's going to be
Halsey on
Market.
Market.
Yeah, downtown, but just a block down.
That's different.
Yes, Halsey and Market.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Should be interesting then. You know what I mean? You know, to get to that. All right. Well, listen, man. We want to definitely say, you know, I concur with Zaid. We thank everybody for coming through, but you know, want to and also, by the way, John Austin's mother had a birthday, y'all.
Yes.
So we want to shout out Mrs.
In fact, Ashley was one that lifted it up on Facebook. Her new daughter-in-law.
Yeah. Yep. So we want to say, you know, to Mrs. Austin, who turned 91, you know, we want to say, you know,
God bless her.
You know,
and her and Mr. Austin all know great story of Black love. Absolutely.
Yeah. She tell him, listen, if you ain't put a ring on it, though, if you see me walking down the street, you better cross the street.
Right. So we definitely want to send, you know, our love and happy birthday to Mrs. Austin.
Happy birthday.
You know, and traveling grace to John and Ashley. So, you know, we'll see y'all when y'all come back through.
Jonathan was chiming in early on.
Oh yeah, I saw him. Yeah. So, but again, you know, thank you, Zaid. Thank you, Donna. Thank y'all for coming through and co-hosting the show tonight, and also thank Brother Hakim for coming on and you know, doing his duties as the hip hop ambassador for our city.
Yes,
so,
and then one thing that we send our love to Gary, Indiana. We know how important Gary, Indiana is to us.
Yep. We definitely do that. So again, we thank everybody, and to you all, as my brother Zaid say, we'll catch them. Where's I?
We'll see you in the whirlwind.
See y'all in the
Don't
whirlwind.
stop.